Work session, regular meeting of the Township Council is called to order. In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meeting Act, Public Law 1975, be advised that adequate notice of this work session, regular meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, was made by the posting on the bulletin board at the municipal complex and transmitted to the officially designated newspapers a list of dates annually indicating that this work session, regular meeting, would take place at the Franklin Township Municipal Complex at 7 o'clock p.m. on Tuesday, April 8th, 2014. And we start at 6 o'clock for a presentation of the GIF, but now we're here. In addition, a copy of this notice has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Remain standing for the invocation, which will be given by Councilman James Fasanella.
Guys.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us take the next few moments of silence to each seek in our own way whatever sources of inspiration will grant us the strength and power in our thoughts and decisions to be for the benefit of all people at all times. And please keep in your thoughts and your prayers all of the people affected by all the natural disasters around the world recently. Amen.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll of the council.
Councilman Chase.
Here.
Councilwoman Francois.
Here.
Councilman Kramer.
Here.
Mayor Levine.
Here.
Councilman Prasad.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Regan.
Here.
Councilwoman Sherman.
Here.
Councilman Vasanella.
Here.
Councilman Wright.
Okay, we are all present. We are following along on our agenda. You can get them and associated resolutions, ordinances by our clerk, Ms. McCarthy. Feel free to get up at any time and get them. You can always see what we're doing. Usually the weekend before our meeting, it's on our website, our new improved website, and you can see it, click on the ordinances, resolutions, see the entire thing, what we're going to be speaking about, so you can be knowledgeable about what's happening. So on the agenda so far, what would be listed as 5 next, JIF training, Joint Insurance Fund. That's we have this group where we get our insurance, certain types of it, and that's what was just happening. It actually wasn't part of our official meeting, but they're telling us about decreasing liability, ethical issues, and such as that. So next we come to item number 6 on the agenda, commendations and proclamations. And I'll first be joined by Councilman Carl Wright, and then also Deputy Mayor Brian Regan.
Oh, there you go.
I'll motion. Remove some of these. It's okay.
Well, the deputy mayor picks up his jacket.
I have mine, I'm reading it.
Early, early on.
I'm going to ask that all the recreation department staff come on up at this moment.
The majority of those left after the proclamation are here.
1, 3.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, we'll let you do that. We'll stay. This is the commendation and awards that Mrs. Osipowicz will explain.
Hi, my name is Alice Osipowicz, and I'm Director of Parks and Recreation. And I have the unique privilege of being here tonight to recognize members of the Recreation Department and the Board of Education who, without their efforts, we would not have recently received an award from the New Jersey Recreation and Parks Association for excellence in therapeutic and wellness recreation programming, which recognizes an interlocal services program that was run between the township and the school district. Over the past 2 years, both agencies worked together to join the Recreation Department's summer camp program and the school district's extended school year program to provide an inclusive recreation activities for children of all abilities. Together, approximately 250 children enjoyed a summer camp experience enhanced with structured music activities, clay design and construction, arts and crafts, fitness and yoga, organized sports and games, general playground activities, an indoor game room, half-day science camp, tennis instruction, open swim, and some trips to various areas in the local communities. This program was important in broadening the horizons of all program participants, and it helped in developing social and cooperative skills, which are so very valuable in helping children develop friendships. The undertaking, I feel, is really a testament to the value of shared services and recognizes the close working relationship between the township and the Board of Education. So we have some certificates, and I want to start by inviting some key people from the school district and the Recreation Department, including Lynn Crawford, Lori Golden, and Joanne Riley from the Board of Education, and Sue Van Aken from the Recreation Department. So we're going to start with this. Come on in this side. Yeah. Okay, well, let me start with this. So we have a certificate recognizing the Board of Education for their participation, and we also have a certificate recognizing the Department of Pupil Personnel Services that oversees all the services in the school district for children with disabilities. So I'm going to just give both of those for Board of Education. So Lynn Crawford is the Director of Pupil Personnel Services, and she's new with the school district for the 2013-2014 school year. Joanne Riley is a Supervisor of Pupil Personnel Services for grades K through 5, and she was brand new to the summer program this past summer, and it was a trial by just jumping in, and I think together we all made it through the summer with great ease. And Lori Golden Mountain Land. Sorry. Yeah. I don't even have that on my paper, but is a learning disabilities teaching consultant with the school district, and Sue Van Aken is superintendent of recreation. And I really need to recognize Lori and Sue for their leadership in bringing the township and the Board of Education together to match our resources and services and to make this program possible. They came up with this idea 2 years ago, and it's really, I think, something that both Sue and Lori have worked together for almost 30 years, I believe, independently in the Board of Ed and the township, but also together helping to improve recreation services in the township. There's two people who aren't here that I'm just going to also commend, and that was Hank Sharon, who's the retired Director of Pupil Personnel Services. He was with the school district for 30 years, and he also championed this cause along with Ed Cito, the former superintendent of schools. Let's see. We will have individual certificates, but I'm going to go on with, I'm sorry, I'm going to take a little bit longer here.
Sue, take care of that, would you please? I think that's what she just said.
Sue, who I put to work back there. I need to commend Sue and let everyone know that Sue is the superintendent of recreation, but one of her specialties has been therapeutic recreation programming. And she's been successful in generating grant funding on an annual basis to support many of our programs. And she's coordinated special events, workshops, programs including outdoor adventure activities, Peer Camp, which was an inclusive travel camp, Harmony Club, which we have running now, pre-K and early childhood play sports programs, and a variety of enrichment activities. She also makes sure that any child with a disability that needs help in a program is teamed up with a buddy. Some of them are volunteers, and some of them are staff members, to make sure that they are successful in our recreation programs. There's also something else that I want everyone to know about Sue. Beyond the scope of her job here, Sue is volunteering this year as a credentialing commissioner with the Special Olympics 214 USA Games, which are going to be held in New Jersey in June and July? June, okay. And she's responsible for overseeing all the on-site credentials for all the athletes that are participating, supervising 4 other credentialing managers and 12 volunteers, managing 4 credentialing sites that are at TCNJ, Rider University, the Special Olympics headquarters, and Princeton Weston Hotels. So without that, those participants really don't get to compete in their events. So congratulations, Sue, and thank you for taking on that responsibility and representing Franklin on a national level there. Okay. So we have an individual certificate for Joanne and Lori for all of their efforts. Of course, we have one for Sue. And then I want to bring up some of our other staff people who are also instrumental in making this program possible. Safi Callan, our recreation program coordinator. And Safi oversees all of our summer camp programs and gets to help implement all of our creative ideas. So thank you very much, Safi. I'm going to ask Marianne Regan, Jackie Yanchuk, and Tori Hurd to come up. And Marianne Regan was an assistant summer program coordinator with us that helped to coordinate the activities for the extended school year camp and a number of our other programs. So congratulations, Marianne. And we have our 2 site coordinators, Jackie Yanchuk and Tori Hurd, who work for us on a seasonal part-time basis, but are also employees of the Board of Education as well. So, I just also want to acknowledge 2 people who couldn't be here this evening, and that's Eileen Brett, who's the principal at Sampson G. Smith School, who actually, in our first year of the program, we were supposed to run the extended school year camp at Franklin Park School, and the Friday before that program was supposed to take place, they lost power and the air conditioning in the building, and we had to move. The school district had to redo all their busing routes to get all the kids bused by Monday to Sampson instead of Franklin Park School, and we had to move, and all the teachers had to move all of their equipment and supplies to Sampson. So Eileen helped to make that possible and put up with us with but we had another camp at Sampson. The school district had programs, there probably had to be 750 kids in the school that summer. And then Nicole Scott at Franklin Park School, who was also instrumental in helping us run the program there. So I have to say that these representatives of the township and the school district, I think, are the shining stars of dedication and commitment, and they have a passion for improving services for all residents of the community, and it is really an honor to work with this wonderful team. So thank you. And I'd also just like to say thank you to the council for always supporting the Recreation Department, and this is just, and actually, we would have loved to have had everyone here. We probably, between staff of the Board of Ed and the Township and the volunteers, and we probably would have packed this room, but they will get their recognition separately. Thank you. And this is our lovely award that we received from the New Jersey Recreation and Parks Association.
Counselor.
Hi, I'm Deputy Mayor Brian Regan. I'm here to read the proclamation on behalf of the National Distracted Driving Month. Many of you may have heard me speak over the time during my comments regarding distracted driving. In town, folks driving through, whether it's folks from other towns or our own residents driving while speaking on their hand, or the worst is when I'm coming up Blackwell Mills and at the intersection of Blackwell Mills and Van Cleef, somebody on the phone with their right hand trying to make a left-hand turn with one hand in rush hour traffic. It's just it really is an accident waiting to happen. So we received a grant for, I forget the exact amount, I think it was like $5,000? Something like that, $5,000 to use for that. So hopefully we're going to use it for education and possibly for a little of trying to discourage those folks who do that by actively watch certain enforcement. And I will strongly encourage enforcement to be done at the corner of Blackwell Mills and Van Cleef.
Duly noted.
Pardon me?
I said duly noted.
Very good. Whereas distracted driving is a serious and life-threatening practice that is preventable, and whereas distracting driving can result in injuries and deaths to all road users, motorists, pedestrian, and bicyclists, and whereas distracted driving occurs when drivers divert their attention away from the task of driving to focus on another activity, and whereas the increased health and well-being of Franklin Township citizens are a direct result of increased enforcement and awareness about the dangers of distracted driving. And whereas, in order to reduce the number of crashes as well improve driver safety, Franklin Township motorists should commit to adopting and maintaining safe behavior while behind the wheel. And whereas April 7th through April 15th, 2014, has been selected as National Distracted Driving Enforcement Campaign, and whereas increased high visibility of enforcement of distracted driving laws, coupled with publicity, has proven to be an effective method to reduce distracted driving and save lives. Now, therefore, I, Brian Regan, on behalf of Brian Levine, Mayor of Franklin Township, and the Township Council, do proclaim and pronounce April 7th through the 15th, 2014, as National Distracted Driving Enforcement Campaign in the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, and urge all citizens to always put their cell phone down, focus on the road, and buckle up when driving on our roadways. Drivers are reminded that if they drive and text, they will pay. There was some conversation about what it means to, distracted driving. There's a lot of activity that it can occur. Eating, putting on lipstick. That's why I don't do that when I drive. And other activity. But this really is to focus on the epidemic that's occurring today with cell phones. It was my industry in 30 years of background in telecommunications, developing programs and applications that run on mobile phones. But doing that while you're driving is really not a good idea. And unfortunately, because texting has almost taken the place of phoning people today, that's become prevalent in our society driving today. We see it on the news, but yet we don't think it can happen to us. It won't be us when we take that moment to look down at our phone or to do it. So if you need, if you want to text when you drive, get the phones, the applications that convert it and talk. At least you keep your eyes on the road. But please do not look away at your phone when you're driving. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you, and congratulations to our Recreation and Board of Ed members. We're very appreciative of the hard work you do. We don't give you big 6 or 7 figure salaries, too many people? Okay, well, we'll see. And on the distracted driving, obviously that's important. If we, I just think for myself, if perchance taking my eyes off the road and there was an accident for which I could never forgive myself, that's not worth it for me to get a message off quickly. The next proclamation is for Autism Awareness. It's Autism Awareness Month. And we're obviously being higher profile. More and more people are being diagnosed on the autistic spectrum, whether it's more severe, more Asperger's. And it's good this is coming to light. I think of when I was young and people who may have had a form of autism or Asperger's, and the look was just, why are they doing this? Why can't they get it together? And now we know it's a developmental disorder. So we're raising that. And by this way, also parents know at a younger age they can start getting help for their children to be helpful to them. So this is our proclamation. Whereas autism is a pervasive developmental disorder affecting the social, communication, and behavioral skills of those affected by it. And whereas as more health professionals become proficient in diagnosing autism, more children are being diagnosed in the autism spectrum, resulting in rates as high as 1 in 88 children nationally, and 1 in 49 in New Jersey. We are almost twice the national average. Whereas, while there is no cure for autism, it is well documented that if individuals with autism receive treatment early in their lives, it often is possible for those individuals to lead significantly improved lives. And whereas individuals with autism often require a lifetime of a lifetime of specialized and community support services to ensure their health and safety and support their families' resilience as they manage the psychological and financial burdens autism presents. Whereas Autism New Jersey is spearheading an awareness effort in order to educate parents, professionals, and the general public about autism and its effects. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Brian D. Levine, on behalf of our entire Township Council, do hereby proclaim April 2014 as National Autism Awareness Month in the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, and urge all employees and residents to participate in our municipality's National Autism Awareness Month activities in order to become better educated on the subject of autism spectrum disorders. So, appreciate that. Well, forward. See, I do all the jobs around here.
Chief,
Need
look
to
at
load
bottom
us
line.
up, man.
The lights need to be turned on.
Okay. Now we're going along on our agenda, and it's number 7, the mayor's report.
I don't have an explanation.
As usual, I have my mug of the meeting, and this is, it says accountant on it. Remind you, you've got 1 week to get your taxes in, unless you get an appropriate extension. And just for the record, it actually says, oh, pardon me, my mug says accountant. So get your taxes in before next week, unless you get a good extension. And just for the record, it says my favorite accountant. So that would be our CFO, Kathy Moody, is my favorite accountant, but closely followed by Andy Hodgelik. But still second, sorry. Okay,
I don't think,
so it's,
no.
our meetings are generally the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. The public is always invited. We broadcast them live and stream it during the subsequent weeks. Exceptions are July, August, and December, where we only have meetings on the second Tuesday of the month and not the fourth Tuesday, due to the summer schedule and holidays. There's a few events happened within the last few weeks, and I'll leave it for others who are there to mention them, but in brief, on March 27th, Councilman Ted Chase and I were at an event with our New Jersey DEP Commissioner, Bob Martin, to highlight illegal dumping. I'm sure he'll tell you about that later. On March 31st, our representative in Washington was at our middle school. I was there, and Councilwoman Roz Sherman, I think she'll probably tell you about that soon, too.
Excuse me.
Sorry. Okay.
What's going on?
All right. I was told I did not give my autism awareness proclamation out, so let me do that now. Okay, and I will come back to where I was. Oh, my goodness. Okay. No, okay.
Three houses.
Okay. Please, pardon me, it's one of my many faux pas. If you want a list, I'll give that to you. So I am sorry.
That's okay. Thank you so much.
Here's this.
Thank you.
And here, you want to say something? Or sit right here?
I was supposed to say something. My students supposed to be here and accepting this proclamation with me today, but unfortunately, we have the flu in my classroom. So I'm in a self-contained classroom with 6 students. 5 of them are out. So they were not able to come here, and this is all for them. This is not for any of us. So let's keep awareness all year, not just the month of April. But the month of April, as a start, it's just fine. So thank you so much.
Okay,
Picture with you.
my honor.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, please. Thank you.
Okay, sorry again. Okay, and final is, in a moment, I guess, another big event in town. We, on April 2nd, the Deputy Mayor Brian Regan and I were at an interfaith banquet, the Islam community, in partnership with the U.S. Council of Catholic Bishops, and I guess I'll tell you about that shortly, too. We're still in our budget process. We are likely to introduce our budget today and voting on it at the next meeting. We're certainly happy to have any of your input in this. And you'll hear it here for the first time, a week from when we're broadcasting on Tuesday, April 15th, the Governor, Chris Christie, is going to have a town hall meeting at our armory in town at 11 a.m. Everyone is welcome. Bring your questions, suggestions, etc. They're coordinating with the town. Certainly, all of council is invited, and I'll send out, you can certainly RSVP. You can let me know, or I'll send something where you can do that directly also. So if you want to be there, that will be the place. And other information is always on our website, which is actually very good. I keep receiving, this is truthful, compliments on it, our new improved website, things that are going on. For fun and information, I've got my mayor Facebook and Twitter. And you can certainly contact any of us with things that are on your mind. I speak for all of us when I say we're glad to hear what's on your mind. That concludes the mayor's reports. Now we come to item number 8, the deputy mayor's reports of Deputy Mayor Brian Regan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be relatively short. So as the mayor mentioned, on April 2nd, him and I attended a dinner that was between the Islamic, I think it was the Northeast chapter of the Islamic Society, with the North American Council of Catholic Bishops. It's a joint, obviously a joint interfaith program that they meet annually to encourage peace and, respect among the faiths, and how to spread the word on that within each of those faith communities, additionally inviting other members of other faith communities to participate in that. It's just that it was a more formal meeting of the two faiths. So it was quite an honor to be there. That dinner is held alternately in alternate years here. In every other year, it's held down in Washington at the guests, as the guests of the bishop down there. So it was a pleasure to be there with our mayor, and he did a fine job representing our town as he spoke about the amount of faiths, houses of worship that we have in this town, and how we kind of encourage that. You'll read in the papers about other towns that have fight certain communities trying to or for certain worship houses coming into their towns, and we don't do that in Franklin. We encourage all, and we are open to all members of all faith communities. So that's something I'm very proud of here being a resident of Franklin Township. Just a couple of items. May 1st is going to be a national. May 1st is the National Day of Prayer. And there will actually be an event here at the municipal building. It's being held or sponsored by the Franklin Township Interfaith Council. It's going to be held at noon, from noon to 1 p.m., right here at the Veterans Memorial. Unfortunately, I would love to attend, but that time of the day I'll be down in Trenton working, so I won't be able to attend it here, but we'll hopefully attend an event somewhere during that day in honor of National Day of Prayer. So certainly, if you're here in town, whether you work or whether you're a resident, feel free to come over to the municipal complex and participate in that prayer service. Just recently announced by the Board of Ed is that they have approved September 30th, 2014 as the referendum date that they'll be going out. In speaking to the board secretary, the business manager there, the referendum has not been put together yet as to exactly what's going to go out. Potentially, it could be for $84 million, which is the building of a new school and additions or modifications to the current schools. But the Board of Ed has not decided on that path yet. I would encourage all residents to go and share their view on that proposal, because it is important. It is very important that we continue to have, or we have the infrastructure that we need for our children and for our teachers to make an effective and efficient, productive school day. But the question is whether that needs all to be done with $184 million referendum, or to break that up into phases. So it is very critical, as most residents are aware. Our township, the municipal council, is separate from, and we do not give direction, nor do they take direction from us. So, and that's just the way that the law is written as it is. So, it is important for residents. When both my children went through the public school system, as I was involved in that, I was myself and my wife, who is a teacher here, we were very involved in the various PTOs, very involved in actually the referendum for the high school that got built. So it is important for you to go out and express your opinion and make sure they understand it. So interesting. Somerset County today came out with their demographics and their profile of the county, of the population and demographics. And the one clear thing about the county, the one clear demographic that is clear, is that we're getting older. The county is getting older. And what I mean by that is that, folks are moving from the younger categories to older. So, we are losing our younger crowd, either because, once they go to college or go to high school, then they leave the county. And naturally, those of us that are here, one of the benefits of being here is that you get older. So we continue to get older. And that obviously will have a lot of effect on future costs, based associated with living here and the various options. It's interesting, if you get a chance, go to the Somerset County website. It has a lot about age distribution, household income, educational attainment. A very, very significant one to me is 50.2% of the population has had at least 16 years of school, so they've gone on to at least graduate work. That's a very educated county when 50% of your population has attained that. Nearly 21% have attained a high school diploma, and then a mix in there of bachelor degrees and started graduate programs and associate. But what is clear is that our county is very fortunate in that we have a solid base of educated people, which always helps for the county that you live in. And naturally, as I said, the median age is moving up, and what was some of the unemployment is actually lower than the state average. It's like hovering around 5% at the county level, so that's also very good. I've also asked the township manager to see if the county has broken that down by township so that we could get the demographics within our own town.
And I can tell you that we contacted the county, and unfortunately, they contracted with a company to provide that report. However, I have our special projects manager beginning the process of, on her own, getting that data, which is available from a number of different sources, so she can put together the report that you spoke about for Franklin Township alone.
Very good, thank you. So, Mr. Mayor, that is it for my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, Councilman Vasanella?
I'm going to ask council to entertain the idea of moving the CB, Community Development Block Grant hearing to, either now or right after the public comment, whatever is there a preference?
After public comment.
So, yes, because I see there's a few members look like from the public, so
Okay.
to not keep them waiting, and then if we can go right into the block grant hearing. That would be the motion, Mayor, to amend the agenda accordingly.
Seconded.
Okay, moved and seconded. What Councilman Vasanella proposes to adjust the agenda to move, because many people are here for the community block grant program presentation, to right after the public discussion, so you won't have to wait as long. And that was moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. So after public discussion, we'll go to community development block grant presentations, and then that portion, and then we'll go back to the agenda. So we are now at public discussion. This is where we're glad to hear anything that is on your mind. So is there a motion to open the meeting for public discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. This meeting is open for public discussion on any item of interest which does not have a public hearing of its own. Anyone interested in speaking, please raise your hand when I recognize you. Come to the podium, give us your name and address. Please note we're being audio videotaped. And again, for the community development block grant, that's going to come afterwards, and we're glad to hear what's on your mind. But if you have something else of general nature, that's okay too. So anyone who wishes to speak, please raise your hand. Yes, Mr. Tibbs.
Make a motion to close public session.
Okay, Hey, pull that,
That's what he was saying.
Pull it closer.
pull it closer. Pull the microphone. Oh, and Ms. Tibbs, just for a second, just our policy is, and this will hold for the, if you're speaking to a community block grant portion also, we allocate 5 minutes per person. That way we can hear as many people as we can. And there's a timer, so when you hear tone goes off, that means 3 minutes has elapsed. And if you hear multiple tones go off, that means 5 minutes has elapsed. I'll ask you to wrap up your thoughts. Please present your comments to the council. If we can answer it,
Yes,
we will.
Yes.
And go right ahead, Mr. Tibbs.
I'm comfortable nowadays. I'm getting comfortable. Johnny's Tibbs, 25 Parkside. I came for one specific reason, and that is to commend the council in approving the $9,600 for Mr. Hornlacher to do the study for the building. I didn't know that you guys had already approved it. A lot of people have come in tonight in support of that approval and being the first step for perhaps we receiving a community center. Now, a number of people was here today along with me, and bear with me when I say these names here. The Robinsons, the Montgomerys, the Briggses, the Prescotts, the Ramirezes, the Diggses, the Taylors, the Copelands, the Millers, Mitchells, Mr. Bill Howard, the young gentleman over there, Councilman father-in-law, Councilman Wright's father-in-law, the Lewises, and hundreds of other families in the 429 Lewis Street area built that building. Every name that I named, they all built that building with sweat, blood, and tears, getting beaten up by state troopers, demanding daycare money for that building. We commend you guys for at least attempting to get that building back and get that building back to the community. Now, I heard a lot of stories about the amount of money that you guys is going to spend for that building. But as you know, I talk what I feel. That building has been abandoned. And I've learned from Jimmy Cahill downtown New Brunswick that they eminent domain buildings when they wanted a building. And once a building has been totally abandoned, I don't see why this township will not take the effect of an eminent domain and get that building back in control so the community can get it back. In terms of spending money for that building, there's a lot of carpenters, there are a lot of construction people in the community that's willing to share the expenses to get that building back together. I myself, I'm a member of the General Services Administration, federal government. I got tons and tons and thousands of dollars of equipment to make that building, which is presently there now. I got it for free. So there's a lot of outlets that we can do, the community that's willing to help this township to defray some of the costs once they own the building to help that become a new community center. The people that you've seen here today, the young group was called Volunteers with the Junior Youth Spiritual Empowerment Program. They are now helping me with the kids in the Naaman Williams community in the park. They're outside in the street because we don't have nowhere for the kids to go. I want to tell you once again, the whole community thanks you for your first step, and I hope and continually we would go forward from this point on. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Things of a general nature?
Seeing no one come forward, I move that we close the public session of the program.
Okay. And a second?
Johnny?
Seconded.
Okay. Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Public discussion portion is closed. Thank you very much. So now we come to our fiscal year 2014 Community Development Block Grant Program. And we have application presentations. And before we start, Ms. Mitchell, did you have anything, or did we go into it? Ms. Deborah Mitchell coordinates our Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG, program.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Just want to inform council that we have been advised of the total amount of funding that we will receive this year.
Okay.
It's $254,170,000. So that will be our allocation that we will be reviewing these applications for.
Repeat that again, please.
It's $254,170.
Okay.
Is that an increase over last year or a decrease?
It's a slight decrease, a few $100. Last year, we received $254,711.
And then what's the breakdown on there's two categories, correct?
15% to public services and 20% to administration. And then we will discuss the balance of the grant, which will be divided up. There's no cap on the public facilities, but we have some other prior obligations to our rehab housing program. So that's a finance discussion. Right? Thank you. And we do have at least 4 or 5 of our applicants. We received 14 applications, the largest category being in our public facilities. And they're here tonight.
Okay, thank you. And that will come to council. And just a quick overview. Community Development Block Grant is money that comes to us. I guess it originates at the federal government through the state, and usually goes to the county, who hands it out. But municipalities that have a population in excess of 50,000, like Franklin, we do it directly in a certain pot of money, and then we have to make the decision if we get more requests than there is funds, where that's going to go. So,
perhaps the manager knows, what's our timeline on?
I'll be honest with you, I'm going to defer to the clerk, who's much better at the scheduling of these hearings than I am.
Or, yeah.
Actually, you need to speak with Deborah. She's the timeline.
She's the expert.
come full circle.
And I would have asked her,
I'm
but she
sorry.
sat down. I didn't want to make her get up.
That's okay. That's okay. The application is due to HUD by July the 15th of this year. And the grant program starts September 1st.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks. So I guess then we go to our public hearing where we hear from people? Is that it? Okay. So same 5-minute rule applies. We're glad to hear what's on your mind, and we'll also see what you have in writing. Oh, yeah.
It says application presentations first. Then. Oh, I thought we'd hear from the individual ones. Oh.
Okay, just some technical points of information. Okay.
Did you forget another proclamation?
No.
I forgot to give it to someone. So is there a motion to open the meeting for the fiscal year 2014 CDBG Community Development Block Grant applications?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Meeting's open for public discussion on our fiscal year 2014 CDBG applications. Anyone interested in speaking, please raise your hand. And when I recognize you, please come and give me your name and address. Ms. Clark? And then,
Hi, everybody. I'm Sharon Clark from Central Jersey Housing Resource Center. I'm the executive director. We are actually in our 27th year. We are very fortunate that Franklin Township has supported us in the past. I'm happy to report that this year, my board has spent the last numerous years diligently expanding our fundraising base so that we can, because the municipalities are getting less and less money. Luckily, you didn't get much of a cut, so I'm actually coming and asking for a decreased amount over last year. So we are looking for $5,736. 15 to 19% of our population that we serve is Franklin Township residents. We're a full-service agency. We're also less and less dependent on the federal government. Our HUD funding for this year, why we rank high with our grants, and we will put in for a grant. We also have spread out and tried to get more and more of the banks and the companies and things like that to kind of help take care of the constituents in the different areas of the county so that we don't have to worry so much about making sure everybody can be served. So this grant is to help people whether they're facing foreclosure, which unfortunately continues to be an issue. I know the demographics you mentioned, you'll see Somerset County is one of the lowest foreclosure rates. The problem is, over the years, it has gone up, and unfortunately, almost every day we get a foreclosure call still from people, and they don't know really where to turn. We just had our first-time homebuyer seminar on Saturday. If you saw in the paper at Bank of America in Bridgewater, we had 60 people there, so the good news is more people are back in the game of maybe wanting to go into homeownership. We had a couple years where people were very nervous about it with what was going on in the United States. So more and more people. You're also going to see on our agenda, you have a wonderful program with your trust fund money for down payment assistance, so it makes Franklin Township very desirable because of that grant. And you also have done a great job of having a diversified housing opportunities through your different programs. So you should be very proud because you're one of my model towns when I go to the state meetings and things, because you have a little bit of everything, which is wonderful. So I'm really here to answer any questions that you might have, and I'm happy to do that. And April's also Housing Month, and as I mentioned, you are a model town, and we're going to be honoring Reverend Soaries later in the month on April 30th. You were all invited because, as you could see, you keep developing and moving through the process so that we can help all types of people, especially the senior population that project is helping. So that's great. So thank you for that.
So if I were going to be foreclosed on, I contact you.
Yes.
What do you do for me?
So first we have to find out what your financial situation is. So we make you bring in 3 years tax returns, pay stubs for everybody, we do your budget, and then we have to make a plan that we try and mediate with the bank. We actually have to upload these required documents, you have to sign off, and then we try and get you into a program. If you have what you can qualify for is called a modification, a loan modification, which maybe you have an interest rate at 5.7, and you're trying to get a 3% interest rate for the next, 10 years, and then in the 11th year it'll adjust, and we're trying to move the arrears, maybe you haven't paid in 2 years, and we're trying to get them to add those arrears to the back end of the loan. So we work with the different lenders. We're, like I said, the approved agency, and we try and get you to stay in your house by either doing a loan modification. We'll try and do, if there was a special circumstance, maybe some people, for example, if they have disability, it takes a lot of time to get the settlement from disability. So like I just had somebody who he got his arrears and it was $30,000. So we were able to work with the bank and through his disability attorney, go to mediation and get them to see that and move that again to the back end of the loan and reinstate the loan with the $30,000.
So separate from the CDBG, are there any ordinances or things that a town council could do to help you or give you an upper hand in mediating with a bank? And I'm looking for a yes or no, and if it's a yes, then we'll meet separately. Not enough time
I think pretty
here.
much no. Mostly the legislation moves different bills through.
Okay.
Right now, they're trying that if they do work something out where people don't have to pay taxes on, for example, principal forgiveness is one that's right now in the House and being reviewed. So there's different programs all the time, but no, you guys have
Nothing
done a
local.
great job.
Okay.
And these are very much things that the federal government's in tune with, and then it filters down to the local level.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you for your time and all your support.
Thank you,
Sure,
Sharon.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time. I'm Paula Delfs. I'm the Development Manager for the Center for Great Expectations. And on behalf of the Center and Peg Wright, our CEO, and our board, and our staff, and our families, we're most grateful for the support of the Township and the Council through the years. The Center raises $1.2 million of its $3 million budget to provide the services we do for our homeless, pregnant families, our adult women and adolescent women and their children. Most recently, we expanded into permanent supportive housing and have 16 families now living at Avalon Somerset, as you probably know. I'm very excited and, again, grateful for the support of the township. The two requests that we are submitting for this year are for Katie's Place again. That's our on-site child development center. Katie's Place budget is approximately $200,000, and it's basically 96% funded privately through grants, and including CDBG. We're most grateful for last year. CDBG helped us replace the flooring in Katie's Place and also paid for some salary for our staff. This year we have two requests. One is for public service salary for our case manager. We're actually extending our, we are going through an expansion in 2014 that you're probably aware of. We're just in the process of adding 4 beds for our adolescents, so adding 4 more mothers and up to 8 children, expanding Katie's Place as well. The first request is for $20,000 towards a salary for a case manager, a manager of Katie's Place, our child development center. And this manager is a master's level clinician, and she actually has a specialty in something called parent-infant mental health, which is really exciting. It's a cutting-edge thing based on the principle that your first relationships in life, your relationships with your mother and your father, are the lens that you see your future relationships with. And a lot of our clients, unfortunately, come to the center with a big, vast trauma history, and unfortunately, their relationships with their parents were abusive. Their parents were either their abusers or the witnesses of abuse, and that's the lens our mothers see the world through. So this parent-infant mental health is very exciting, and we hope that you'll support us in some way in this salary. Our second project for public facilities is a request of $19,169 for the purchase and installation of a small on-site playground. We actually did a fundraiser a few years ago. We put in some fencing in the backyard to provide a safe place for our clients to bring their children for the daycare to use during the day. We got the fencing up. We did a public fundraiser. We bought the climbing equipment. And we've just been told by the Office of Licensing that we have till October 18th of this year to get compliant playground equipment. So we have to remove everything. And we did get a quote for this. It's the smallest available commercial grade. It's a state supplier that we got the quote from. And we hope you'll support us in providing a safe place for our clients, because of the phases the clients go through. They're not really free to leave the facility and use a public playground. So this does provide a safe place for our families. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So I notice you're having a fundraiser this weekend. Is it this weekend?
Our
A 5K
5K
race?
Yeah, yes.
So I saw that it's in Mercer County Park.
We've been very blessed with a lot of outreach. One of our board members works in New York City for a company called Havas, which is a worldwide PR firm, and they have a subsidiary in Hamilton, New Jersey called Catapult. And this company has, amazingly, they have something called Catapult College, and they do a lot of mentoring, which in this day and age is a fabulous thing in a big public company. And they have adopted basically the center. They've rebranded us. They gave us new logo, new colors. I'm working on a new website. It's not as good as Franklin Township, so we're working hard on it. And they've just been incredibly supportive. They give us gift cards at Christmas. They bought us a new rug for Katie's Place, and they decided to run a 5K for us. And unfortunately, Mercer County Park was what was available on Palm Sunday, 7:30 in the morning. So, but I hear 70 degrees and sunny.
Yeah.
And right now they have 170 people registered, which we're really excited
very
about
good.
for our first 5K.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
Great.
So thank you for noticing. Hope we'll see you there.
Well, I would run if I was here. I'm not going to be here, but I don't. It's easy to say I would run if I was here, because I'm not going to be here. So,
Well, it's a wonderful thing for all the families are coming, and it's a great thing for them.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks much. Appreciate it. Okay, other CDBG? Yes, sir. And then Mr. Hasner.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
My name is Steve Tanser, and I'm the Director of Property Management Operations for RPM. And we're here seeking 2 grants for the purchase of an automatic door at the Parkside Senior Facility, and in addition to some security cameras. Just to give you a little background, Parkside Senior Housing is a 70-unit building development built under the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program, and it's designated as an affordable community for individuals 55 years and over. The apartments are further set aside into 3 groups in order to make them available to individuals with maximum incomes of 30%, 50%, and 60% of the HUD median income for Somerset County. Approximately 75 of the 70 units are occupied by HUD subsidized housing assistance contracts, which are administered by the Franklin Housing Authority. The project is open to the public and directly addresses affordable housing needs of 70 households, all within the Franklin Township community. In addition to housing, the project administers a social service program and participates in the Senior Independent Living Program, SIL, administered through New Jersey State Housing Mortgage and Finance Agency. The project is requesting a grant to install an automatic access door controlled sliding entry door, which will enable the residents to enter the lobby without having to manually pull open the door. The problem that we've had is that a percentage of the residents residing in the project are disabled, frail, or elderly. And those residents who are wheelchair bound or utilize a walker or cane encounter difficulty opening the front door. The front door works on an access control, and there's a delay, and we've extended the delay to give them more time to open it. But if you have a wheelchair and a walker and you have one hand, it's a little bit difficult. And it's even particularly more cumbersome when residents are coming in with shopping bundles. This is an existing facility. It was placed in service in July of 2011. Since the project is open, residents have been requesting an automatic door due to the obvious difficulties that I've mentioned. There are a significant number of residents in the building with disabilities who would benefit by the installation of this improvement. If the grant is awarded, the complete installation would not take more than 60 days to complete from the time the order was placed. The cost for this project is $19,135.08. This is all being completed on prevailing wage basis. All prospective applicants, there was a question here, I'm sorry, if I can just go back, about screening, and prospective applicants are certified for income eligibility through the low-income housing tax regulations by the Parkside senior leasing staff, and if an applicant is further qualified for rental subsidy, then the applicants are then certified by the Franklin Housing Authority. In order to determine the level of subsidy they will receive, the Franklin Housing Authority completes an annual certification for all these folks and make sure that the funds are being distributed appropriately. This is the first and only grant we've ever applied for. The improvement will be available for public use. It will benefit all 70 households within the building, in addition to all visitors coming to the building. Second request is for security cameras. We have a small amount of security cameras in the building. When we built the building, we pre-wired it in the event we had funds available later on, and unfortunately, we don't. And residents have been asking us regularly to add cameras. One of the things that we would like to do is offer residents a screen on their television, and they could actually get on and they could look at these cameras themselves. And we feel as though that would afford them an additional level of comfortability and security. The cost for this project is, bear with me one second, $11,502.50. And again, these cameras would be located throughout the exterior of the building. They would be benefiting the Parkside Housing Authority, as well as the parking lot, playground in the back area of the building, and we would add some additional cameras inside the building. And I'm available for any questions.
I have a question, Mayor.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yeah. No, those two, I think, are absolutely great ideas. I support them 100%. I just want to make sure I'm understanding. You guys are the management, for-profit management company hired to manage the property.
That is correct.
Now, when you have any type of maintenance, enhancements, et cetera, that need to be done, how are they normally paid for, or decided the importance, urgency, and how they'll be paid for?
If we have the funds available, which we don't, that's why we're here, we would fund them out of our reserves.
RPM's reserves or the housing authorities?
Oh, RPMs.
Okay.
Our private reserves. If there's any maintenance required on these, our objective...
No, not on the items I'm talking. I'm just talking in general. You need some new door to make things easier. You need any kind of security. Normally, who funds the ongoing needs that any building, especially one with seniors, will have over time?
That would be funded privately by the development.
And who is that?
That's the Parkside Senior Housing.
RPM.
It's RPM.
RPM.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand if this is a private entity asking us, and again,
Yes,
I would put those things in tomorrow if we could vote and put them in. I'm trying to understand if this is a nonprofit asking us for the money to do something that otherwise wouldn't be done or doesn't have any kind of funding for reserves, or if it's just a company for profit that has money set aside to do improvements, but wants what is a very limited, I ask this because it's very limited,
Correct.
the money we have,
to
to put it in as opposed to you guys take it out of your bank account.
I hear you. I can answer.
And I'm not against, I just want to understand.
Sure. We are a for-profit entity. I've given you our complete financial statements are attached to this.
Sure.
We don't make a big profit. We either break even or we run in the red. Much of our operations are funded just from cash flow. So we do set aside a certain amount of money for capital reserves, but that's really intended for replacement and for emergencies. So if a door breaks, it's going to come out of our operations. If we need to upgrade the halls, it's a brand-new building, so our reserves are pretty low right now. Then 10 years from now, hopefully, we would have the funds available, and we would take them out of our reserves. If something would happen to this installation, if we received the grant and it broke and it needed service, we would pay for that out of our operations, and we would cover that expense.
And one last question, and it's a committee that reviews it, makes recommendations, and the entire council that votes, just, you probably know that. Say that recommendation, the council ultimately decided we would partially fund it, would it still get done? And these are hypotheticals, I'm just trying to understand, because again, these are very important items. A lot of residents have called me over time, and perhaps some other council people, so, I'm sorry, go ahead, answer.
At this point, if we had a choice, my first preference would be for the door over the cameras. We don't have the funds available to do it, so if we do not receive the grant, we will not be able to complete the installation.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Councilwoman Francois?
So just to give some background, the Parkside Seniors Association approached me personally about the fact that they have a lot of security concerns over there in that area, and there are a lot of very frail seniors that live in that building. And if you go over there and you see how they ingress and egress out of that building, it's a phenomenal that when RPM put that building up, that they didn't put that door in. So I asked the same question, why, and I'm on the redevelopment agency, which even made me feel more blindsided over the fact that Councilman Wright and myself never thought about, some of the security issues over there, and it didn't really come up about having this handicap access. It's to me, it's like a no-brainer. It's something you should have at every senior facility. Right. And the response came back, it's a low-income housing project. They barely were able to build it. They don't have a lot of wiggle room as far as funding. And so that's when we talked about, are there any grants available for them to apply for that? If you go over there and you see the conditions, if they don't get the door, there are seniors there in that building that have to go for dialysis, they have to go for treatment, and it's a disgrace how they are able to get in and out of that building. And so it is something that is very, very necessary, and I think that I'll say personally, I feel like I dropped the ball because that should have been something that we demanded. However, I was also told that they are code compliant. When they put the doors that they have there in that building now, it meets the specifications of the municipal code for senior housing,
That was gonna be my
ironically.
question.
Ironically.
Yeah.
So they're not there
Gotta change
illegally.
that.
Yeah, but they clearly need some more help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor?
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Regan, and then Councilman
If
Sherman.
I could just chime in real quickly, and Councilwoman, I think you'll appreciate this. It meets the Uniform Construction Code, not the municipal code.
Okay.
It's not our code, it's the state's Uniform Construction Code.
I stand
And it's
corrected.
not something that we have the ability to alter, but I just want to bring that to your attention.
Deputy Mayor Regan.
Thank you. So I certainly agree with the necessity of this item. I guess I'm getting confused is that Parkside, right, it says it's part of Parkside Senior Housing. And isn't that part of the Housing Authority?
Yes.
So why isn't, like, we have the Sewage Authority, we have separate authorities, like, why wouldn't this be going to the Housing Authority to deal with, to get the request?
Maybe I can answer that.
Yeah.
The development itself is, we built it in a quasi-partnership with the Housing Authority, and we accepted vouchers that they had, permanent vouchers, to move people from the existing project that was there. We've also given the Housing Authority free office space in there to run their building, their Housing Authority. It is a privately owned building, and it was built with private funds.
Okay. Councilman
I guess I lost that.
Public land.
So when they did Parkside Complex is no longer part of the Housing Authority. It's, when you guys put it up, it became separate.
Correct.
It isn't governed by the Housing Authority? That's news
Is
to
it
me.
that RPM
Actually-
owns the physical structure and RPM owns the physical structure and the Housing Authority runs the housing element? Is that what's happening?
The Housing Authority runs the subsidy element, the HUD subsidy for, I guess approximately 25 or 30 tenants who live in there who are project-based.
So they're the recipients of the HUD subsidies, and then you take their vouchers, but the people are tenants of your Parkside LP, which is a privately owned, not-for-profit, right?
Privately owned.
Limited,
For-profit.
limited,
For profit, very limited profit.
very limited profit, okay. So that's the answer, Councilman. This is not a project run by the Housing Authority.
So,
Okay. Deputy
so,
Mayor Regan,
so
done?
if you have a handle on
Oh,
that.
I'm done.
Can, Mr. Renone, can you explain that again from the
Yeah,
ground up?
thank you.
This is a building that was privately constructed, and it's privately owned, and it's run by the Management Corporation, RPM Management Corporation. The Housing Authority is the receipt from the federal government of housing funds, that subsidize housing funds.
That's correct.
And they literally give vouchers to people, so these people are tenants in the building, the funds flow from the federal government to the Housing Authority, and the Housing Authority, these are qualified recipients, and the Housing Authority pays the money over to the...
So the Housing Authority helps pay the rent?
The Housing Authority, actually, the federal government does, all the Housing Authority is a conduit.
Okay, but...
But in that extent that they do, except that the net is that this is a private enterprise, so...
Right.
Right.
Ms. Havel Davis is the housing federal.
Director.
She gets the money from the federal government.
Correct.
She passes it on to RPM.
Correct.
So they are correct. She does have an office there, and that's how they operate. She's the only one there working for HUD.
Does the, I don't know if you know, does the Housing Authority actually own any units themselves?
No.
They don't, because since Parkside got taken down, they do not.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Councilwoman Sherman, did you want something?
No, I think the question was answered. Thank you.
Okay. No,
Oh,
Councilman
no,
Kramer?
no, go ahead. I thought Councilman Regan was still speaking. Okay, no, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So, it sounds like a worthwhile project. The question is who should pay for it? And you're RPM, and you come to us and say, you are the experts in building this. And you tell me, well, it was cut close and it follows the code, but you're the experts in knowing what should be needed. So I'm a little baffled on why you didn't pay for this in the original project, if this is such an important, vital thing to these people.
I wish I could answer that, and I'm on the management side. I didn't design the building.
Yeah, but you're asking me for a grant, so,
I am.
yes.
Let me finish. Hindsight is 20/20. Now, going forward, if I built another senior building, that's something that I would do. So we learn from our mistakes and we move forward.
No,
Thank you.
I'm going to piggyback on that a little bit. This wasn't built 50 years ago. It's 3 years.
Right.
I think your architect, frankly, dropped the ball if you don't have that there.
Yeah.
And
Let's at least.
it's a profit-making corporation. Listen, I understand small profit margin, but in my experience, I've been in the world, a lot of companies have small profit margins because they pay out salaries and bonuses to many six-figure people at the top. So I could make Johnson & Johnson or a Superman movie have zero profit because I would just pay it all out to other people and show it that way. I'm not saying that's the case of yours. You said you included your financial statement. I'll take a peek. But it's, I've got, and another thing, when you say we didn't give you money, we actually gave RPM in excess of $1 million from our
That's right.
housing fund also. And this is, we have a limited pot of money, and I see nonprofits who are with their tin cups on the corner, and this is me personally, everyone has his and her own opinion. I would have to think harder about a company that is profit-making and we've subsidized in the past and recently built this structure who says now they don't have what they need.
I don't know that this is necessarily the venue to bring this up, and I'm not privy to all the development
Sure.
costs. But I do understand that there were a significant amount of vouchers that we never received. And I think that really cut into our operating costs, and we did not anticipate that at the time that the building was being built. I'm not making excuses for it.
No,
I'm
sure.
just saying we just don't have the money for it now.
Okay. All right.
Is this the first senior housing that you've built?
This is, yes. This is our first project. Our second one was in Camden.
And did the second one have these facilities?
No, it didn't. And this, in answer to my anticipated question that you have, this hasn't come up until our social service program in Parkside.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thanks. Anyone else?
Well, I just a
Councilwoman
quick
Sherman?
comment. I was just thinking about, we have another couple of buildings being built for seniors in Franklin. And I think if we're that concerned, we need to make sure that we don't make this mistake again, because I know that if we had known this before, we would have, made sure that they had it. And it's easy for someone to later claim that the construction code doesn't insist that it be done. I don't know that we can insist that it be done, and it would be an interesting exercise to find out what authority we could have over something like that, and just to put it into perspective.
Councilman Prasad?
Yeah, I was on the planning board as the council liaison, and of course, we got the former chairman of the planning board who passed this. And at that time, you guys did not include this. And we expected you to have that knowledge and know-how and everything else. And from here onwards, I'm hoping that any future senior housing would incorporate these kind of doors in the future.
So we have some opportunities.
And, so right now, I mean, we have to act in terms of the need of our seniors and the need for security, and so we will, but it's definitely, I feel like we were led up a primrose path here, and given the impression that you knew what you were doing, and you didn't, obviously, and so we need to get that straightened out.
I can tell you from the management side, we have two different divisions, and in the last year, we've been much more involved with redevelopment, and I will tell you that I personally review plans, and whether it has to do with trash, with egress, access, way before we go to final approval now. And it's been helpful, and we sit with the committee, and we've got property managers on board who have hands-on experience with this, and it's a lot more helpful to do it that way.
Yeah, but even if it's low-income housing, it doesn't have to be senior housing, but both of those, same standards apply in terms of security as well as egress and entrance access to the place. So there should be standard design features that should be there. And your architect showed up. There was other buildings you were building in the town that we approved also. So anyway. Okay.
Mr. Vornlock, our manager.
I think just in the interest of maybe moving this along, Mr. Raynone, wouldn't it be possible for council to just adopt an ordinance in the development ordinance that requires any housing, multiple unit housing, where it serves either a disabled population or an age over maybe say 55 to make a requirement for ingress, egress, automated doors?
Yeah, and security, sure.
There we go. Okay, so maybe that's what land use and public works, maybe we can, participate in some discussion with that at our next meetings?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay, did you?
No,
Mayor,
I think
you're
we're ready to move on, because obviously this type of conversation is really, a different venue would be best for it.
Okay, Mr. Tanzer, thanks for your time here.
Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Hasner. Short and sweet.
The food bank, you do what?
Thank you, sir.
I'm looking at Primrose. Primrose. Ted, what's Primrose? Primrose Lane. Being led down Primrose Lane.
Good evening, Frank Hasner, Executive Director, Franklin Township Food Bank. Thank you very much for some time tonight. First thing, aside from, I think thanks has to go. A lot of folks give you a lot of praise tonight, and you deserve it. You and the community. We've been through a rough 7 years at the food bank. You can imagine probably the worst economy in our lifetime. And because of the community and the council leading the community, we've been able to keep pace with just a frantic demand for our needs. Typically not big on statistics, but a couple of ones hit me when I was looking at a few things. We had, in 2006, 100,000 pounds were donated to the food bank. Last year, 2013, 425,000 pounds donated to the food bank. This is going through the same building, over 4 times the amount of donated food. Produce, 26,000 pounds, 2006, 125,000 pounds in 2013. And the most scary is the number of clients. 2006, 4,334 families coming to the food bank. 4,000 visits. 2013, 10,049 visits. I assume very often that folks know what we're doing at the food bank, but I think it may be worth a quick synopsis. We're giving out packages of groceries. A family can come up to 15 times a year. once every month, 3 additional visits, and they're getting a bag to 3 bags to 4 bags, depending on who's donating what at the time. Maybe 5 or 6 bags of groceries. Hopefully, in the summertime, it's a bag of produce also. One thing that's very important, I think, to note for you guys is 100% of our clients are Franklin Township residents. We will serve somebody who comes from out of town one time, give them a package and a referral to their town or their county or whoever they need facilities, but our regular clients, 100% Franklin Township. A little plug, we do have an event also, and it's very important. April 27th, 25th year of the Tour de Franklin. Started out with 10 people bicycling from UFO Hair Salon on Easton Avenue. We're expecting 700 people. The manager's not here. I think we'll be outgrowing this facility very soon. But please come by, participate, talk to people about it, like us on Facebook, franklinfoodbank.org, look it up. You can find anything you need to know. Little shameless plug. 2 projects that we're looking at this year. This will be the 4th year we're asking for $1,500 to do our community farm program. Basically what we're doing is helping farmers help us, providing some irrigation equipment, plastic, fertilizer, so that we can basically grow our own food for our clients. Mr. Kramer has been the witness firsthand. The property next to his is one of the places we farm. He's seen a lot of volunteers toiling and trying to make the best of some tough conditions. But
I pulled a couple of weeds myself. Not too many, maybe 2.
Moral support was worth it. But we do have 3 farms that we're working with, looking to continue that process. Again, what happens there, we get as you can see, a lot of produce donated to us. But a lot of times it is not the most pristine. We're getting stuff at the end of the chain. It's very usable, but it's just not exactly what you want when you want. July we will have lots of zucchini, and even our clients will get tired of zucchini. That being said, it's nice to be able to grow our own stuff, pick it, and write to a client. We've been able to do that with your help, and hope we can continue that this year. The second one is a very enlightening request, and it is for a generator. We were both blessed and cursed with Sandy at the food bank. We did lose power. We lost power for about 30 hours. Unlike a lot of folks in town who still needed our help, we were able to borrow a generator, keep just the freezer and the refrigerator running so we didn't have spoilage. A couple staff members and myself actually gave out some of the food that we had not in the refrigerator and freezer by the doors being opened and just doing what we could. It was 3 of us without electricity trying to get help out. But FEMA asked us to give out water, or through the township helped us give out water. Church World Services had us giving out blankets. Red Cross had us giving out food. We needed to be there. We're in the 2 poorest districts, census tract districts in Franklin. It's where people needed help, and they were not out for only 1 day. A lot of those folks were out for 4 and 5 days. We were the only source that they could come to get help in an emergency. So we are asking for an emergency generator. I think it is critical. I hope we never have to use it. I certainly hope we don't. But we were talking about storms. I heard you talking about storms earlier. If this storm happens, if we have a terrible ice storm in the winter, not only and we don't have alternate power, not only do I lose all my stuff that's in the refrigerators and freezers, I may lose all my non-perishables. Frozen popped cans all over the place, which just would not be a pleasant sight, and it wouldn't be good for the folks who need help. And again, it's when they need it the most. So we have a request in to buy a generator. It would be hooked up to gas lines, so we don't have to worry about getting gasoline, because I couldn't even get into the parking lot after Sandy because the line for the gas station at Exxon blocked the door. And it will be able to power the entire facility. Now, it will. We did have to downsize it a little bit to try to make it a little bit more affordable. It will not run everything at the same time. but I'm making the assumption that I won't need the refrigerators to go full blast. At the same time, I need the heat, and perhaps the air condition doesn't have to go full time at the same time as the air conditioning and the freezers or coolers. So we do have it so the loads will shift, and in order of importance.
Okay.
I think that may be it.
Okay, we have any questions? Councilman Prasad?
Well, firstly, my commendations for the work you do, and I thank you for it. I am a supporter, though my wife makes all the contributions. She controls the checkbook. So my name will not appear, but her name does. It's my money. But anyway, thank you for all the work and all the help you did during Sandy. And you didn't say how much you're asking for the generator.
I'm sorry, it's 40,000.
40,000, okay.
We do have to also go prevailing wage, sorry. That's one of the issues that always increases the costs a little bit, but also getting people.
But you're very close to the gas stations, aren't you, or?
That is
possibility you could pipe in your gas.
No.
People
No.
Oh, natural gas, okay.
Natural gas, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
okay. I thought you were talking
Oh,
about
no. We want a
gasoline.
constant source.
Okay.
We don't want to have to rely on.
All right,
running
okay.
bags on it.
Okay. So, that's, it's a worthy cause, and, the community gardens, what you've been doing there is phenomenal. I think we should have more of that, and people should just do community gardening just to be able to supply the food bank. So I'm in full support of that, and thank you.
Just quick, why are you required for prevailing wage if you're a private nonprofit?
Government.
Gives you money,
Right.
grants?
If it was our money, we could use our own money. We're absolutely a nonprofit. We would be able to use our own bidding system, but because it's government money,
Okay.
we have to go prevailing wage.
Got it, okay. Thanks. Others? All right, Mr. Hassner, thank you. Anyone else here? Yes. Hi.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you.
Pull down a little.
A little bit, okay. Hi, I'm Sharon Chesser. I'm the Social Service Coordinator for Willen's Senior Residence, 360 DeMott Lane, right up the block. We are a HUD Section 8 housing, senior handicap housing for residents with low and very low income. We have 100 apartments, and we currently have 122 residents. We believe strongly in the concept of aging in place, so we have a multitude of trips, activities, and services in place for our seniors. Willen's was built 28 years ago, and at that time was considered the state-of-the-art residence for seniors. Over time, the building has aged. The township has been very gracious to us over the years by providing us funds to convert 70 bathtubs to shower stalls to help our residents age gracefully in place. Last year, we received a community development block grant to help renovate our kitchens, which were the original kitchens that were kind of falling apart already over the time. And we were able so far to convert 7 out of the 17 that we're planning on doing for this year. I'm here tonight to once again ask to continue our goal to renovate all the kitchens in the building over the course of 5 years. So we are asking this year for $33,000 to enable us to reach our goal. I understand that's quite a bit of money, and we would appreciate anything at this point. On behalf of all of our residents, we thank you for all that you have done for us.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions? I'm sorry.
Question for Ms. Chestnut.
Thank you.
Well, thank you much. Appreciate it. Anyone else who hasn't spoken? And anyone else who hasn't spoken? No?
Mr. Mayor, seeing no one else is coming forward, I recommend we close this portion of the hearing.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. As I recall, this will come to financial oversight, then to the council. That's our usual flow. Okay. So the council will certainly be visiting this on a couple of occasions as the information flows. So we had number 9, went to 14, so we're back to number 10, standing committee reports. So first we have our administration committee. Anyone?
Yeah, I'll give a
Councilwoman
report.
Francois?
We had our special projects manager come to our Administration Committee and give a report on all the projects that she's been working on, and I'll just highlight a few. There's a historic signage project that's out there, and the purpose of that project is to allure and attract visitors to Franklin, to take advantage to all of our assets and resources that are available here in Franklin. And there are actually copies, free copies of that guide available in our Township Clerk's office. She's doing a lot of work on raising awareness about all the amenities we have here in Franklin. She also gave us a readout on her historic signage project, which is to clearly identify the area of East Millstone. And there's been a lot of discussion about the kinds of signs that people can agree on from a historical perspective, but she did apply for a grant for $5,000, and that grant was awarded from Discover New Jersey. So I think that project is currently underway as to when those signs will be selected and displayed. And then she also gave us a readout on the 429 Lewis Street project, and you heard tonight, and you've heard that there is a effort regarding the township to turn the SCAP building into a youth center over at 429 Lewis Street. And at our last council meeting, the council awarded $9,450 to determine the viability and structural feasibility of that building. And so we're exploring the possibilities, looking at the project costs, funding, in terms of the contractor selection, management, operations, and what it's going to undertake to turn that building into a youth center. And that's basically what we talked about. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Next, Financial Oversight Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Kramer.
3 items. One is the insurance for pensions for people who are yet to retire. We are trying to come up with a policy that saves money but is fair to people who have worked here for a number of years. We don't want to, we don't want to adversely affect them in a way that was completely unexpected to them. So we're trying to work that out, and it's going to the admin committee at our Thursday meeting. Is that when are we?
That's correct, Thursday.
Thursday meeting. We also discussed a few tweaks to the budget, which I will leave to the manager to explain to full council when we go over the budget here. The few items that of increased revenue and decreased revenue other than they were expected. They're not game-changing amounts, but they're amounts council should know about. And then the last thing is I requested that over the next few months, not for this budget, but for next year's budget, is that we review all the non-statutory expenses that the town has. So in other words, programs that we fund that we are not required to fund by law. So we can look at those, make a decision on those, know the consequences of changing them, of not funding them or funding them, and knowing how much they cost and how much we can save that way. With the decreasing fund balance over the years, we may have to make some hard choices, and this way we will be as best educated in making those choices. And that concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. Public Safety?
Mayor, we have a meeting, I'm sorry, Mayor, we have a meeting in 2 weeks, so we would be reporting most likely at the next council.
Okay. Land Use, Open Space, Parks, and Recreation.
Mr. Mayor, we
Councilman
have a
Wright.
couple of items here. First are the Middlebush Park fees. The committee recommended that groups be exempted from fees and should be appropriated yearly by resolution instead of an ordinance, that the lights be turned off by 10 p.m., that the park permit fees to be amended as presented, and that the ordinance on this matter move forward for council consideration. The status of park projects, the committee recommended moving forward on the Arlington proposal, holding off on Hawthorne Park, and phasing the Catalpa project in 2 or 3 phases, with the back portion being the last phase. Middlebush Park sound system. The committee recommended that the provision of the sound system and horn be added as a council discussion item, and the council receive input from the sound company on design that could potentially reduce impacts to the surrounding area, i.e. having them present at a future council meeting that we're going to leave up to our township manager, Mr. Robert Vornlocker, to set up so that the entire council can be brought on system. You have something to comment, or are you good?
No, I was going to agree with you, yes.
The Hatch-Mott proposal is the design of a pathway landing for a canal bridge. The committee was okay with the expenditure of $10,500 for the preliminary design of the pathway landing leading to the proposed canal bridge at Eastern Avenue to JFK Boulevard, as outlined in the March 31st, 2014 proposal from the Hatch-Mott McDonald. Now, this person I'm going to freeze and ask if Councilman Vassanella had anything to say, saying that he was directly involved with that situation.
I appreciate that, Councilman Wright. Just real quickly, there's no guarantee that the bridge will be made, but we're all very hopeful. This has to do with also with a little long-time support of giving some recognition to the role that Mr. Marconi played in our township and science, and we would have a tie-in with that if and when this gets built. This is the first step, and this would end up, if it happens, being basically in the northeast corner of the diner, where the township has worked out having some entry access points available down the road. That's a very capsulized description, but the first step is, as you described, approving this so we can hope that the state moves to build the bridge.
Thank you, Councilman. The potential sites for Habitat for Humanity. The committee recommended in favor of providing Habitat with 13 of the sites for potential consideration. It was understood that Habitat would review these 13 locations and choose the most desirable of approximately 3 or 4 properties that, with the necessary infrastructure and improvements, they must stay within $72,320, which is the remaining township commitment to Habitat for Humanity. Under number 6, the Center for Great Expectations request for Housing Trust Fund money. The committee was favorable to their $300,000 request from the Township Housing Trust Fund. Mr. Healy, our township planner, will make necessary the submittals to COA for their authorization. Home Street dead-end street vacation issue. The committee agreed with staff recommendations that the construction of a fence along this location would be far easier and quicker solution than roadway vacation, and requested that Mr. Vornlocker confer with our township attorney, Mr. Raynon, to have this accomplished as soon as possible. So there again, I'm going to freeze and ask Mr. Vornlocker if he has anything to say on that issue.
No, I'm going to speak with Mr. Raynon, as I said I would.
Thank you. Warren Capital. The committee reviewed the request by Warren Capital, Inc. to acquire easements through township-owned property for the purpose of connecting to sewer so that the developer could realize additional building lots. The committee recommended against this proposal. And the last is 436 Hillcrest. The committee reviewed the request by Builders Pro LLC to repeal a deed restriction imposed by the township sale of this land back in 1988, which strictly prohibits the property owner from obtaining a variance for the development of the lot. The committee recommended against this, and that would be it, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir. Well, that's it. Thank you.
Public Works.
And next we have our last committee, and these are committees made up of council members, just so you know. Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councilman Chase.
Public Works met on March 14th, and I assume we'll meet again this coming Friday. First of all, we talked about street paving. Carl Hauk explained how streets were evaluated this year with 3 inspectors, 4 criteria, a combination of the evaluations and weightings. And the streets were graded from A to F, with F being the worst. With the length and width of the streets, the cost of repaving could be estimated. Public perception of the letter grades was discussed. The public might feel that a C grade was good enough, where it really means needing repaving in the near future, if perhaps not this year. Tom Zelenek handed out a 5-year plan for repaving all the streets currently graded C+ or lower, assuming an annual appropriation really funded by bonding of $2.5 million for the next 4 years and $2 million in the 5th year. All the streets graded F or D, and the majority of those graded C- would be repaved using the 2014 appropriation, except a few which are currently being used for construction or are the responsibility of others. For instance, Mettler's Road from Schoolhouse to Weston is Canal Walk's responsibility. Secondly, in Franklin, there are a few detention basins which, though serving a small development, are located on the lot of a single-family home whose owner has the responsibility of maintaining the basin. We have annual inspection of detention basins by Public Works, and in general, there's an inspection fee for that, and the question was whether we could waive the inspection fee for these cases where the basin is on a single family home lot, and it would really be an unjust expense to the owner of that home to have to pay the full fee, which is usually the responsibility of a homeowners association. And the committee agreed that we could exempt these, and Carl Hauk will write an ordinance amendment. Thirdly, Howard Chi, our Water Department Director, reported on the leak detection program and its accomplishments in 2013. 41 total water main breaks in the last year. 23 were just detected by the logger instead of by loss of pressure or water on the surface. And so we've fixed a lot of breaks, including ones that we would not otherwise have known about. Savings in water purchase from New Jersey American Water, but not charged to homeowners or businesses, are estimated at $526,000 per year. Another way of estimating this is that the water purchases over the last 13 years averaged 6,650,000 gallons a day, but for 2013, only 5,630,000 gallons per day, a 15% decrease. Of course, this is a less direct estimate and depends on how dry the summer was and factors like that. These loggers have so far covered 80% of township water mains, but besides covering the remaining streets, this must be a continuing program to keep this leakage down. And the fourth topic was energy aggregation. The council has heard a presentation on that at actually the last budget meeting. I'll just mention briefly for a wider audience, this is a plan by which Firstly, the township would hire a consultant who would aid us in putting out bids for alternate energy suppliers to get a bid for covering the whole township. Everybody in the township, although every private home in the township, although one could always opt out if one wished to opt out. And this just covers the cost of the energy, not the cost of the distribution, which is still billed by PSE&G. But it should save township residents a reasonable amount of money per year. I think there's an estimate, a guess, of $126 a year for every household. So this is something, I think full council wants to discuss this further, but I hope we're going to move ahead with this. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So now we come to item number 11, council comments. I think we start over here. Councilwoman Rosalind Sherman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be brief. I only have two things I'd like to talk about. The Franklin Township Cultural Arts Council, the Performing Arts Group, has come up with a wonderful event that we're going to have in Colonial Park on September 20th. It's going to be called Franklin Day Festival, a Franklin Day Festival. So it's going to be music. We're going to have artists and crafters. We're going to have volunteer tables. We hope to have Second Chance there with animals, and we're going to have a family fun day along with it. So it's going to be almost every aspect that would entice some member of a family, from music to children's games to anyone interested in animals, to come out and join us. And hopefully we'll have just spectacular weather and have hundreds and hundreds of people come out and join us. I will tell you more as we develop it, but the date is now solid, September 20th, and we hope by continually talking about it, we'll keep it in your memory and you'll join us. The only other thing I just wanted to talk about was I did go to the Franklin Township High School show in the Heights, and it was absolutely spectacular. Unfortunately, if you didn't get there, you've missed it. I think Saturday was the last date, but our youngsters did us proud again. It was an amazing display of talent, and the set was beautiful, the talent was wonderful, and the story was really touching. So kudos to our students and the school group that makes this happen. So it was a very pleasurable time, and that's my report. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman James Vassanelli.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a couple items having to do with baseball and getting old. So I just want to acknowledge the baseball, Franklin Township Baseball League, which I think they're technically called as opposed to Little League now, which had their opening day last Saturday. Our local newspaper was out there covering it. It was a fantastic event, a little chilly in the morning, as it always seems to be, but the sun was out like the least this ever I've been to. It seems to always come out for that opening day. I want to thank the volunteers there who do an absolutely remarkable job and really are a shining example of a group that's been around for, 62 years and really self-sufficient. The township did help put some lights in a couple years ago, but really provide a great service and take care of pretty much every cost on their own. In line with that, although it has nothing to do with Franklin, I think today is the 40th anniversary of Hank Aaron taking over the home run title, or is right about now. And I was a little fellow when that happened, but I was an avid baseball fan, and many of us, Hank Aaron still in a way is the ultimate home run king. So getting back to some Franklin business or Somerset County business real quick, as far as growing old, which we all do, and it was talked about earlier tonight. Freeholder Robert Zaborowski, also a Franklin Township resident, There's a press release here, I just want to read you a paragraph or two. In conjunction with the Office on Aging and Disability Services is looking to identify residents who are or will be centenarians this year, meaning they've reached the ripe young age of 100. Responses are requested by Friday, May 2nd. And they're doing their own very nice, interesting tribute with a luncheon and other acknowledgments. I'm going to ask council, if they don't have a problem with it, I would like our town, either in conjunction with the data they collect, or maybe reach out and allow submissions just to our town. But either way, for our sources of media, so to speak, our website, our township newspaper, and our television, one or any combination of them, to acknowledge Franklin residents who have turned 100. Lots of my relatives lasted lived to a very long age, well into their 90s, and none of them at 100. And as trivial as it may seem, I think that is a heck of a landmark that we can afford a little effort to acknowledge the Franklin residents, of course, upon submission from the family, if they so choose. So if no one on council has an issue with that, I would ask that the clerk allow that to happen. And this could be nice in conjunction with the kickoff of the county. So that's all I have to say, but if there is any council member who has a comment, maybe when we finish public comments, they can let us know. But I would like that to start right away if possible.
All right, thank you, Councilman Vasanello. Next, Councilman Prasad.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Firstly, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Passover and Easter that's coming up. And my congratulations to our Recreation Department for all they do and their award. The distracted driving proclamation by the Deputy Mayor, it's something that's needed, and I endorse it wholeheartedly. And autism awareness is, of course, something that we all should be aware of and support. Thoughts on the aging population. We built all these senior housing facilities, and now we expect most of us will age, and with it will come. Most of us will eventually stop driving, in which case we have to look at alternatives for our seniors and how we can help them be mobile, productive members of society. And there was a transportation study that we did, which had two loops that connected the east and west part of town. And that study still needs to be dusted off and looked at, and we need to figure out how we're going to take care of our seniors in the future. And that is something, it could be disastrous, so let us plan for it and look forward to it. So that study implementation is something we should do. And of course, to Johnny Tibbs, I'm in full support of the Youth Community Center and the SCAP building, that we can, make it our top priority to move forward on it. So thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Prasad. Councilwoman Francois.
To stay on the theme about the
Aging.
thoughts of aging population,
I didn't mean to stop you.
I would like to recommend that the Public Safety Subcommittee take a look at drafting an ordinance in light of all the conversation we had here tonight about the handicap access and the fact that we are all getting older, and we probably need to make it a requirement in the township, since the state code appears to be lacking somewhat, that if we build senior housing, or we have senior housing here in Franklin Township, we provide the appropriate kind of handicap access, just like what we have out here at our municipal building.
I think that action item has already been taken by our township manager, Mr. Vornlocker.
It has been.
Good.
Okay.
It will be done.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. That's all I have to say about getting old.
Oh, I thought you were going to be, that's all I have to say.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you. I'm done.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councilman Ted Chase.
Okay, firstly, I want to call everyone's attention to the stream cleanup, which will be sponsored by the Environmental Commission and the Stony Brook Millstone Watershed Association at Seeley's Brook, next to the Stop and Shop and IHOP off Easton Avenue, this coming Saturday at 9 a.m. You go in by the IHOP and park at the back if you want to volunteer, and we hope that a number of people will come out to join in. This is actually, I think, the third time we've cleaned up that particular stream corridor. Fortunately, a lot of our stream corridors in town just run through woodlands and don't get filled up with garbage, but we do have some that do. On March 31st, I attended a Somerset County Sustainable Jersey meeting, heard from other towns things that they are doing, particularly green fairs or recycling of electronics gatherings, things of that nature, and also heard from a number of county departments about what they are doing towards sustainability and towards helping towns with sustainability. This was sponsored by the Somerset County Planning Board and held at the Park Commission headquarters. And as the mayor noted, we were both present at the what was actually a cleanup at 77 Blackwell's Mills Road on March 27th, although I came prepared to help in the cleanup and the mayor didn't. But that's all right. He gave me nice recognition in his speech. But does, and I may say, there's a lot more cleaning up to be done at that site. This is part of the 6 Mile Run Reserve, and the major aspect of this cleanup was the commissioner announcing a statewide policy of, don't waste our parks, and of trying to ensure that people do not throw away waste in our state parks, forests, and reserves. But these are a lot of these cleanups to be done in various places around the town. So I think that's everything I have to report on. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Phil Kramer.
Are you sharing gavels up there?
Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
That's gravel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to commend Deputy Mayor Regan on the distracted driving ordinance. It's a, not ordinance, sorry, proclamation. It is an important issue, and he has been keeping it in the forefront. A place where you will not have to worry about distracted drivers will be Canal Road on May 18th for the walk and roll. I think I've finally gotten the name down. It was Bike Without Fear, now it's Walk and Roll. So on May 18th, which is a Sunday, Canal Road will be closed from East Millstone down to Butler Road from 10 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon, so that you can walk, ride your bike, roller skate, or walk your dog, or any other type of conveyance with relative freedom from cars. Local traffic will be allowed. We do request they drive slowly. It was great.
Not distracted.
And be not distracted by people walking on the road, or me perhaps sitting in the middle of the road in an easy chair. I keep threatening to do that. So please come out and enjoy that. I had announced before that East Millstone was going to have East Millstone Pride Day, where we went around and picked up some trash. It was about 8 or 9 of us. Public Works helped out a little bit too. I'm glad to report there actually wasn't that much trash. We got a few bags full, but still keeping the community clean. I guess I'll add my growing old issue. One of the things that hopefully in the future will be our autonomous vehicles, which will really change the life of the elderly when they can't drive. What will have to happen at the state level is laws that properly allow that, but also allow for safety. A shout out to education. As many people know, I'm an ex-Air Force pilot, so I've been somewhat drawn to the tragedy of the missing Flight 370. But the shout out to education is, if that plane is found, it will be found with math. So things like algebra and calculus and things that seem to not matter to students in school, it will be math and science that will find that airplane. And I think it's, if you get beyond the tragedy, which is very difficult to do, the fascinating work that's being done is fairly amazing. I would like to congratulate 3 of our Franklin officers. I'll pronounce this first last name wrong. John Tuchmatulin.
Tuchmatulin, you were correct the first time.
His name is Tuck.
His name is
To everyone, he's Tuck. Derek Miller, and Brandon DiMattore, they've just made detective. I know each of them personally. They're great guys, but they're also very dedicated officers. We're lucky to have them, and I'm glad we have a force and a structure that recognize them and move them along and keep us safe. I was going to bring up energy aggregation. I won't belabor it. Since Councilman Chase brought it up, thank you for doing so. I thank Councilman Wright for bringing up what happened in land use and the discussion on the Middle Bush Park speakers. We've been having some discussion on that. That, of course, will have some effect on the 3rd Ward and the 2nd Ward. He's been very forthright in that, but I asked the manager to keep both Councilwoman Sherman and I appraised of all developments, all schedules as they occur, because we're going to have an interest in that for our constituents.
So what I would add to that is the plan, if all goes well, is to have, as a council discussion, a presentation by the vendor that gave the quotation for the sound system that Councilman Wright sought out either at the next council meeting on the 22nd or the first meeting in May. So that we're working with the vendor to have them here to do a brief presentation on what they proposed when Councilman Wright met with them out at Middle Bush Park.
So when will we know when that will be?
As soon as I hear back from the vendor, so I can, it will be part of the agenda either the 22nd or the first meeting of May.
Because I would want ample time notice of when that we're going to.
Absolutely.
Right, so I wouldn't want to know the night before that.
And I would certainly understand
Right.
all the implications here and understand every bit of it.
Right,
So I'll make
absolutely,
sure.
and everyone is being straightforward and open about this, so I'm just happy to hear that. And then finally, since Councilman Vasanella brought up sports, last night, UConn men's basketball, UCAA won, and tonight, the women are playing Notre Dame, and last time I looked, they were winning. Go Huskies, and I'll let you guess where I went to med school.
Not in stores.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Carl Wright.
I was about to get on Councilman Kramer about the Huskies, but we're going to let him go on that number. just to clean up a couple things right quick, we all heard about the Housing Authority, but one thing I think we missed, was that the Housing Authority actually owns the land, all right? And the RPM owns the building that sits on the land. So I just want to make sure everybody understood that RPM didn't own both, the land and the building, okay? And speaking of the Housing Authority, at the next meeting that we have, I'll bring in you a report of that, and also the redevelopment agency. I will bring that report back to you. We already went through the land use, which has some of the things that I was going to bring forward with the Recreation Department. But what I will do is the Hamilton Business District. We're moving forward with that. And what I'm going to do is swing this to our township manager to have him explain exactly what we're doing and exactly where we're going.
I will certainly do it now. It was part of my report that would follow yours, so I'll do it now. The Hamilton Street Ad Hoc Committee, which was formed, several months ago to look into the issues related to the Hamilton Street Business Community Corporation, is planning on meeting on the 21st of April to make recommendations to council on the 22nd of April at the regular council meeting on the naming of the individuals recommended for the newly formed Hamilton Street Advisory Board. So that is our plan as we sit here tonight, and I've spoken with all council members who are on that committee, as well as the two additional staff members, Mr. Healy and Mr. Dominack. All are available, and so we should have recommendations for council on the 22nd to staff the advisory board.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Deputy Mayor Brian Regan.
Good enough. Yeah,
For the only comment I'll make is on the CDBG grants. Obviously, following past protocols, this will end up going to the financial oversight, working with the township manager to take the first shot of it and then passing that on to full council. But for all our residents, it is as if you were listening, you heard there were many applicants. It's actually one of those tough decisions because there are a lot of people asking for money that we just don't have enough money to go around. We do our best to meet the needs of the requester, but that just isn't possible in most of the cases. But that will come back to council. I think the time we had to have it done by June or so prior to that, we'll have it.
I believe, we anticipate having it in front of financial oversight at the next financial oversight meeting. It's been requested by Ms. Mitchell. And then once, it needs to be done by July 1st for the July.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And for my comments, I don't have anything else at this point. So, our township manager, Mr. Robert Vornlocker.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have several items. First, to go back to Councilman Chase's comments about the stream corridor, as the stream cleanup at Sealy's Run behind the IHOP, much like the Public Works Department assisted the East Millstone residents with the cleanup previously, the Public Works Department, as part of the Clean Communities grant money funded cleanups, will also be participating in that stream cleanup. I've instructed the Public Works Director and Manager to better to do more with that Clean Communities money throughout the township as we move into the nicer weather. There's a number of streets that are in desperate need of street side cleanup, so that should be seen by the residents as something that is much more prevalent this year than it was last. As we spoke, the April 21st Hamilton Street meeting is scheduled. And lastly, it was discussed as part of the land use meeting, the necessity to take several actions as far as Catalpa and the development of Catalpa as a municipal park. I hate to be the bearer of bad news because I know how much everyone up here loves the meetings, but we will need to have a special public hearing meeting for Catalpa. And if we're to move forward with this project as I have been instructed by full council to do, we need to do it relatively soon. The Department of Environmental Protection requires that the property be posted with a sign that's approved by the DEP, and then residents within a distance of the property be notified by mail of the public hearing. And all of this is on a rather rigid time frame set by the DEP. And what I will tell you is, if we are to move forward now, I'm proposing a public hearing date of June 26th. I've gone through all the calendars of all the committees and commissions that everyone up here sits on. That is a Thursday evening, and it does not appear that there is anything scheduled on that evening.
Mr. Township Manager?
Yes.
Can I interrupt 30 seconds?
Yes.
Councilman Chase, you all right with that?
I will be out of the country then.
I did not have your personal travel calendar. I only had your commission and committee calendar.
There's also a DOE meeting.
I figured I'd throw that in at you, you know.
Just as we move forward into the year, the next Thursday is the 4th of July fireworks. So obviously that won't work. And we can go now into July, which certainly, that every week that we move forward is 1 week less that we have, to get work done in this calendar year. And so this was the earliest, was actually June 19th that was originally proposed. Unfortunately, there's a Board of Adjustment meeting on June 19th. So unless council wants to bump the Board of Adjustment and try to have it on the 19th of June, that's the earliest that I can get everything done.
So what about June 30th? It's a last Monday of the month. Probably won't have things scheduled then.
I'm certainly open to that. Anyone wants to throw out a date, the earlier the better. I'm open to anything. I don't have your calendars in front of me now, like I did when I looked at this previously.
Councilman Chase, what's good for you? What day is good for you?
Well, actually, from what my wife was saying today, I'll probably be gone by the 19th also, but I can be back by the 30th. I mean, given that this is in my ward and my constituents will want to make themselves known, their views known, I really would like to be here for it.
Yeah, I think that's pretty
I think that's very, to be honest with you, I agree, and I would not want to schedule this meeting if you were unavailable. It is your ward. I show nothing on any of the conference room or council chambers schedules for the 30th of June.
Because that's the 5th.
Monday.
It is the 5th Monday.
Nothing should be scheduled then.
So I move that we have a special meeting on June 30th.
Monday, June 30th at 7?
7.
Okay.
Second.
Second, is there conflicts,
No,
problems?
I might have a
Councilman
conflict,
Vestal,
but again, this is, if this works for Councilman Chase and the majority council, I'd absolutely go forward. Just, I may have a personal conflict.
Okay, so Monday, June 30th, 7 p.m., a special council meeting regarding Catalpa. Is that basically it? Okay.
That's it, and I have nothing else, Mr. Mayor.
Been seconded. Any objection? Then we'll have that, and
Just
Ms.
a
McCarthy will appropriately sunshine it. Yes,
Question.
Deputy Mayor Regan, please.
So at this meeting, we're going to get a presentation on the details of the specifications of the, because I'm not on that committee, so having a public hearing, what is it that?
A public hearing is that we are going to develop this park, and this council will have the opportunity to question the engineer who's done the design of the park, and you will be able to have an opportunity to choose what amenities are in the park and what ones aren't, based on just as we did with Middlebush Park, almost a menu of items, and this you want and this you don't want. The concept has been through all of the committees that are relevant to it: open space, recreation advisory, land use, and so that's where we're at. We got a concept, and we're going to put it in front of you.
Very good.
Okay. Good. Anything else, Mr. Vornlocker?
That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. So, next we are at item number 13, council discussion items, of which we do not have any this evening. That brings us to item number 15, introduction of calendar year 2014 municipal budget. This is Resolution 14-181, and unlike most resolutions, this is voted on twice.
Excuse me, Mayor, there should be an ordinance first before the resolution.
Okay.
405814.
Oh, on the new one, right? Okay.
Yes.
There's the ordinance. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Ms. McCarthy. Okay, so we've got item 15, first the ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and establish a cap bank for calendar year 2014. This is ordinance 4058-14, item 15A on the agenda. Ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank from NJSA 40A:4-45.14 for calendar year 2014. The foregoing ordinance is presented to the Township Council for adoption on first reading, posting, publication in accordance with law, and public hearing, and final adoption on Tuesday, April 22nd, 2014, at 7 o'clock p.m. at the municipal complex. Does finance or attorney or manager want to give us a quick overview on what this allows us to do?
This is basically a pro forma ordinance that allows us in the future to utilize a bank if in the event that we have a financial downturn, so to speak, that we can exceed the cap in the future should we need to. It's more of an insurance policy than anything else.
Right, okay, thank you. And the next resolution is our actual budget. So this is presented to the council. Is there a motion for this ordinance?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on item 15A, ordinance 4058-14, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Regan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Okay, motion is carried. Now we're coming to our introduction of our budget for this calendar year, Resolution 14-181, introduction of calendar year 2014 municipal budget, and set a public hearing date. We had many public hearings that were televised, open to the public on our budgets, interviewing our department heads. Our discussion now here's where the budget, as has been molded, comes to us, and the final vote will be likely in the next meeting, May 13th, sorry, in about a month. Thank you. Okay. The introduction of the calendar year 2014 municipal budget, set public hearing date, that's presented to the Township Council for adoption. Is there a motion for the resolution?
So moved. Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Pardon me.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
so I have
Councilman
one
Kramer.
item which I've raised before.
Yes.
And this is, we're adding a few positions. All of the positions pay for themselves in one way or another. For instance, the IT half-time person for help allows the IT staff that are more experienced to spend their time doing other things, and therefore there are fewer consultants we need to hire, and we save money that way. I don't see that as readily with the person that's going to work on the GIS system. Now, to be perfectly honest, that system is, or that expense is shared with water, so the total expense is $12,500, and this out of a $55 million budget. Excuse me, but I have a philosophy, I don't like to expand government unless it's very necessary, unless we can pay for it, given that we have a decreasing fund balance. So I have mentioned it before. I'm not expecting it to pass, but I would like to make a motion that we withdraw that from the budget. One way I thought we could pay for it would be if the library board were to, and we have no control, where this council has no direct control of the library board, they are appointed by the mayor. If they were to agree to shared services with their IT staff, let our IT staff take it over, it would save them it's a total of $60,000 savings, saving them $10,000 out of their budget, and because we would only charge them $50,000, and it brings in $50,000 of revenue, so it saves our taxpayers directly to us $50,000. So I would, in my mind, tie those two together, so I would like to make a motion to pull the GIS salary, half-time salary from the budget.
Okay, that's motion to not have that position.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second for that motion?
Well, I
Councilman Fasenelli?
don't know if I would be sporting, but it absolutely give the courage to Councilman Kramer to second the motion for a vote.
Okay, moved and seconded. So now the discussion is on this particular motion. If that votes up or down, whatever it is, then we'll come back to discussion of the budget in general. So is there discussion on this motion? Okay, Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council. A yes?
Councilman.
Oh, pardon me, Councilman Chase, please.
Well, I would oppose this motion. We recently had a presentation by a consultant updating our IT master plan, and the main message was we aren't spending enough on information technology. Much as Councilman Kramer hates to spend any money, and in fact, my worry is that if we don't get another person in, our present people will decide that they can do better for less wear and tear elsewhere and leave us. Also, I heard a representative of Montgomery Township being rather apologetic that they only have one full-time IT person. They used to have two. And here we're trying to get one half-time person. Also, this person would in large part take over work that has been done by Carl Hauk in the engineering department. Carl is now in charge of, is the director of public works, so I don't think I'll have time to put on GIS in the future. And as mentioned, half of the salary would be borne by the water department because mapping out in detail all our water mains will be a significant part of what this IT person does. So I really think we need this person, although I really would ask the mayor to use his influence with the library board to, instead of using an outside consultant for their IT work, to have it done by our IT people, saving them a net of $10,000 and putting $50,000 more into our IT department. It's true there's no direct connection, but it will certainly make Councilman Kramer more amenable to funding the IT position if we can get the library board to do this. But we need this person.
Okay, anything else? I'll just comment, because I was mentioned, but my influence on the library board. My philosophy is appoint good people, a good mix of people. So the library has an eclectic mix of all different people. Frankly, for most of them, I do not even know their party affiliation. And then I just speak like any other board person there. I don't influence. They've outvoted me on things. I don't hold their appointments, being reappointed over their head or anything. So as much as I appreciate the thought that I might have influence, I really don't. I point them and then say, you make your best judgment and I won't interfere, except for my vote as a library member. Anything?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, yeah. Councilman Massanella?
Yes. In conversations I've had with our deputy mayor and some other council people, I do support, cautiously support the hiring and will not be voting in favor of the motion. However, I just want to suggest that we should, as Councilman Kramer did, make all effort, and I think all of us do, to look at hirees. Every department is critical, but at the same time, every department wants more resources for good reason to provide better services. So I don't doubt the intention of any department coming up here asking for more hirees, but it's been mentioned about how frugal we need to be going forward. So the other thing I want to mention is, yes, it is legitimately being charged half of the salary to the water department, but I don't want the public to believe that that's just magic money that flows out of the sky. And I'm not trying to be sarcastic, but any position that's funded in part by the water department, as it should be because part of the work is for them, it's money that ultimately you can say ratepayer versus taxpayer. It's money residents pay to the town to support the cost. So I just want to point that out. And that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And one other, I think it's germane to this amendment, is that as Councilman Kramer said, when people did come before our Finance Committee, which did the preliminaries before the budget came to council, he did ask everyone who wanted more money, especially people, personnel, how they would pay for it and whether it would be self-sustaining. So that's is where he consistently came from.
Mayor, just had one, I apologize, I forgot. Yourself, Deputy Mayor, Councilman Kramer, and Councilman Wright, I know work diligently, financial oversight, if I have the four of you right. I don't know the exact approach because I'm not in at those meetings, but perhaps next year when if there are any requests for any new hirees, maybe one requirement could be to bring to the table how you'll be cutting enough money in other ways to pay for the new hiree. In other words, maybe we have a new hiree, but find a way to have it have absolutely no effect on the total budget of the,
Right.
and I don't know if you formally do that.
Fill the council in on how that was made.
No, I mean, to make that a requirement on any request.
Sure.
We don't, but I kind of feel like I'm stepping on the manager's toes with that. It's his budget that comes forward. I mean, it can be
It is. It's
our
not financial
philosophy.
oversight, it's the manager's budget. You're absolutely right,
And
Councilman.
it's my philosophy as a council member that I want those things funded, and if, maybe I'm pushing my point here a little, if you back me on this, then that message gets across. Maybe that's a little underhanded of me to do that, but, if council makes that makes the manager know that that's their philosophy, then I think he would push that. I'm putting words in his mouth.
Yeah, well, I want to overstep our authority, so to speak, but when I say financial oversight, I know you work closely with the manager, the CFO, and whatnot. So, if the proper ways, just express desires to the manager, ideas of how we'd like to move with that going forward. Whatever the proper way is, I just would like that to be, I hope, a consideration going forward with new hires.
Mayor, the vote, please.
Okay, nothing else? Then Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on the motion. A yes vote means remove this part-time position, and no vote means go back to the budget as presented. Yeah, leave it as is.
Councilman Chase?
No.
Councilwoman Francois?
No.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
No.
Councilman Prasad?
No.
Deputy Mayor Regan,
No.
Councilwoman Sherman,
No.
Councilman Vasanella,
No.
Councilman Wright.
Yes.
Okay, motion did not pass, so,
Thank you for
We
your
go back
the
to-
consideration, though. I appreciate it. Thank you.
no, thank you. So go back to the original budget as presented, and did.
I won't bring it up if you don't bring it up.
Don't bring it up. No, unless you feel it's vital, I'm sorry to
Okay,
interrupt, Mayor.
yeah, all right, I'll be succinct here, with the caveat that, I don't find anything wrong, quote-unquote, with the budget. I may have a slightly different philosophy than other people. I hope we can keep it to that. In the past, I was accused of not understanding financial analysis or being against children in certain parts of town. If that's your belief, then certainly go ahead and say it, but I will answer it. Hopefully, we can keep this to a policy issue. It's, there, like everywhere else, there's things that are good and things you can afford. So I think as a town and someone who looks after the public dollars, a few things I can't afford. So here's my proposal. One is, roads are 2.5 million in the budget. We usually used to have them at $1 million. It sunk as low as 600,000 one year. So my proposal A, cut that from 2.5 to 1.25 million, down 1.25. And the other is with the sidewalks. I think it's too preliminary. I don't want to vote on the sidewalks yet because I'm going to take the 5% out of everyone's pocket, even if we don't build them. Also, I don't know that the people there want them. They're going to have to maintain them. If the sidewalk breaks, they're going to have to fix them. If the tree uproots it, they're going to have to do that. When it snows, they're going to have to shovel it. So I think I'm not against sidewalks. I just want to know that the people where we want to put them want them. And B, again, it was originally proposed, which was good, that if we put in sidewalks, kids could walk to school, and the Board of Education would save a lot of money on buses. And that's fair because it's our budget, it's the Board of Ed, but it's the taxpayer's pocket. All comes out the same things. That's good. We've not got buy-in from the Board of Education yet. Actually, I haven't been able to meet with them to even discuss it. So to me, that's just a little preliminary. So that's my proposal. Roads, 2.5 to 1.25 million, and not the sidewalks of 750. And I hope I was succinct. So that's a motion. If there is a second, we'll vote on it or discuss it. If there's not, we'll go into a discussion of the regular budget.
I'll
I would
second it.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Gee, thanks for the thought.
So, Mr. Mayor?
Okay. You want
Discussion.
yes.
As soon as you walk
Councilman
past,
Kramer.
discuss.
So for the videographer, I'm sitting next to the manager, if you're looking at the empty seat, which some people say I fill anyway, an empty seat. Can you move that? The reason I'm here is I have been looking at the road issue, and that's what my comment to the mayor was. We had some discussion over the weekend, healthy discussion about the roads, and I did some more calculating, and I have one of my PowerPoint presentations, so I'm here because for technical reasons, I'm using the manager's laptop. So if looking at that, just as a review, I presented this last time, 731 road segments. Mr. Chase reviewed that they're rated from A to F. I won't have to go over that again. This is how it's broken down, not so much the A to F, but 76% of our roads are long-term. They won't need to be paved for a while, at least more than 4 years. 9% need to be paved according to our Public Works Department within 2 to 4 years, 9% 1 year, and 6% need to be paved now, as in they need to have been paved before, maybe 2 years ago. If you look at this, so that the green is the long-term, the yellow, orange, red are in that same order as before. 76% of our road segments this year, this is real Franklin data, this is not theoretical, real Franklin data, 76% of our roads segments took up only 20% of the pothole fixes. So those roads that are well-maintained didn't require much pothole fixes. Yet the other 24% took up 80% of our pothole fixes because they are in disrepair. Again, real data. So if you do some math of what is the cost of a road that is not well-maintained, that has gone past its life or is even approaching its life, you take 24% of the roads, 24% of the roads went to 80% of the pothole expense, and the pothole expense was $54,000. So you take 84% times 54,000, you get roughly 43,000. But even if we had paved those roads, because that, remember, 76% of the roads, the well-paved roads, took up some potholes. You have to account for that. And the next bit of math, I won't go through it, but it means that about $3,000 would have been spent on this that 24% of roads, even if they had been paved, would have probably taken up $3,000 worth of potholes. Expense. So you subtract the 3 from the 40. In other words, we would have saved $40,000 in pothole patching if the roads were all in the town grade -B or above. So in other words, we paid a pothole expense of $40,000 because some of our roads are in bad shape. 24% of our roads are in bad shape. I presented this slide last time. The mayor has now upped from $1 million to $1.25 million. I didn't know that. I'll use the old figures. So the down payment on $1 million is $50,000. The down payment on the $2.5 million would be $125,000. We're proposing, or it has been proposed, $2.5 million being spent. He's proposing, it was $1 million, now $1.25 million. So the 5% are the numbers I just raised. Using the average home value of $306,000, Mr. Hodgelick calculated for Plan A, which is $1 million of roads, would be $1.71. For $2.5 million of roads, $4.27 per household per year over 20 years. Let's be full information, or a difference of $2.56 per year. So a little more ciphering, as Jethro would say. You take the $50,000 of the Plan 1, of Plan A, which is paving $1 million of roads, and add the $40,000 pothole expense. That's a $90,000 total expense, because it's costing money to not pave roads. So you take $90,000 from $125,000, which is the $2 million plan. There's a $35,000 difference. So if $75,000 was a $2.56 per household difference, when we take these two plans into account with the expense of potholes, it would be $1.19 per household per year for 20 years, or somewhat $23, $24 over 20 years would be the expense per household. To me, that's well worth it, because now, I guess, maybe a little theoretical, but it well worked out data by AAA. In New Jersey, potholes cost the average person $660 per year for their car. Well, they don't spend all of their time in Franklin Township, so we're not going to save that much money. But I'll bet you it costs the average homeowner $1.19 in the decreased life of a car. I am an engineer, and the worst thing you can do to any machine is, the worst thing for any machine is vibration. So that's the expense per year, per person, and I think that expense is well worth it. And that slide is I'll leave that slide up for if there's any discussion on the amount to raise taxes. That's the reference, that's the future model. But given that, I didn't realize he was going to bring up sidewalks. I think he did discuss it, so that's my fault for not anticipating that. But I think this is a small expense to pay to get our roads in shape. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything, Deputy Mayor Regan?
Since actually at the last meeting, I did talk about the sidewalks and started that conversation, basically indicating that I wouldn't support it. But through the questioning that night, I did have questions. I made some comments that probably weren't the best comments to make about another entity that's not us. And I won't do that again tonight. But it really does come down to two things why I'm in support of the $750 that's being allocated for the sidewalks. One is the point that Councilman Wright made about the safety. We do have to pull back, regardless of what I feel about another entity or their agreement or their promise or what they're not doing, really has to be taken out as an emotional piece of that discussion. And I have to come back to the facts, and the facts are that sidewalks do promote safety, and it is safety, and it is related to the sidewalks that are needed around our schools. So then the question comes to, what's the right number? Well, during that evening, I did ask our CFO and our township manager that for the amount of money that's going to be set aside and bonded, it's the 5% down rule, 5% down rule, which you made reference to earlier. So it works out to be for the 750, $37,500. And relative to a plan on what the sidewalks are, I think the path forward on that is working with the Public Works Committee, possibly with Public Safety, depending upon how it proceeds, to come back to council so that way they can work with Township Manager to make the proper directions for the actual sidewalks. I'm not one that manages or micromanages the Township Manager on the ordering of the sidewalks, but I believe that a capable plan can be put in place to address specifically any more safety concerns that would be associated with the sidewalks. And if the total 37.5, which is unlikely that it would be used, given that we're already in March, already in April of this year, so we probably couldn't spend the 750. If that money is set aside, we know from the ordinance that, and if it wasn't used, it could be allocated for next year, and then if for some reason it still wouldn't be used, it would roll over into general fund, which would eventually help us with offsetting potential tax increase in future years. So the argument, there's an argument of that some council people have made that, we may be taking some money or raising tax that we don't necessarily need. The harsh reality is, if we don't use it, it goes back to general fund, which will then only come back to offset a potential increase. So I did want to explain, because I know you asked me why I seem to have changed my mind, and I wanted it to be clear that there was a thought process with that, and that I've worked myself into moving to the position of supporting that. So I'm actually on the page of supporting the budget incomplete as it is submitted by the Township Manager. Thank you, Mr.
Okay, thank you. If nothing else, we'll go to a vote on that. Anything else? Oh, Councilman.
Quick comment. You covered, Deputy Mayor covered most of it. I just want to confirm that if we do move forward with the allocation for the sidewalks, that is there any language that would prohibit us from using it for sidewalks, but not necessarily all the money for the sidewalks that are part of the plan showing the bus routes, to change out the bus routes? I just want to make sure there's not a restriction.
Mr. Raynone, do you want to give us how that works?
I think it's just going to be in capital, And then ultimately, you'll pass a capital ordinance to expend it, and then you'll expend it by a contract that you'll bid. So council will have control of it every step of the way, but you would not put in the budget that kind of restriction. It's just going to fund a capital expense that's going to be denoted for that.
There would be a separate ordinance that would list the locations of the
Correct.
sidewalks, and you would have to vote on that ordinance.
Correct, but as a practical matter, when it goes into this budget, it goes in as generically capital. So what you do when you pass that ordinance, that when you read the ordinance, it says you'll amend your capital plan, and then you'll amend the capital budget, and then you'll appropriate it however you'll appropriate it to do it.
Great. So just in response to the mayor's concerns, I share some of the same concerns, but I feel that there is an opportunity here, and we'll see. We don't know how much of it will work out with some kind of cooperation agreement with our school system, and there may be some other sidewalk parcels of streets that we may want a sidewalk based on the safety concerns, which to me are very legitimate. So I see it as a need to attempt to do this, Mayor, and obviously if we find we don't need as much, we won't spend it, or I at least, I think all of us will be conscientious of only putting them where they make sense and there wouldn't be a real public outcry against them. So I would like to try to move forward with this initiative.
Okay, Councilman Prasad?
Mr. Mayor, I live in the 4th and 5th Ward, and we don't have sidewalks. This is a matter of public safety. There are people walking on the streets. This is not a third world country. It's a public safety issue, and we need to act on it. We have always ignored the 4th and 5th Ward, which is the most densely populated poor part of town. We need to redress this whole situation, and you're woefully underfunded for the $750,000. And to try and cut back on it is utter nonsense. If anything, we need to add more money there. If you go down, and if you haven't been down the 4th and 5th Ward, I urge you to come down and talk to some of the residents that I have spoken to, and they have all told me that they need the sidewalks. And that's where I'm coming from. It's a public safety issue. Forget about the schools. This is a safety issue for the residents and the kids. And I don't want them, A, playing on the streets, B, walking on the streets. And if it's a question of maintenance of sidewalks for the homeowners, welcome to the club. We all do that. And that's part of our civic responsibility, that we keep our sidewalks clean and snow-free. So that's something that has to be done by all of us, and those that don't have sidewalks, they'll have to maintain them. But it's a public safety issue, and that's why I'm saying I'm for doing what we need to do, and that's our responsibility. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I'm going to, for anyone else, put my own personal privilege in here, because I wasn't going to have any more response, because it's all very professional, and people have their opinions, and I respect that. It's a policy thing. However, yes, I've gone into the 4th and 5th wards. I've been there. I represent the entire town, and even when I was in the 2nd ward council person, I was concerned about all the town, which I believe all the ward council people are also. To say it's ridiculous to cut is an insult to me. You like gratuitous insults? Go ahead. And I think it's ridiculous that you would have any personal attacks like that when we're trying to do things professionally. This is a discussion on where the town is going. I respect that people have opinions in different areas, and if you can't have respect for other people's opinion, then maybe you shouldn't be in this position.
Mr. Mayor, I have lived for 35 years, plus years in the 5th Ward, and that ward has been ignored, and not all those times were under the current council makeup, and because of that, we need to redress some of those issues in the most densely populated area of town, and we need to address it. And that's where I've been on the Public Works Committee, where we were asking for roads, and people came up here and put tarmac on your desk on Cusset Street, and they came and asked for just simple roads for their kids. And we didn't provide it until we fought for it. And today we're trying to catch up from the past cutbacks that we had. And today we're trying to provide decent roads for people to use and sidewalks for them to safely walk and get around town, especially in the most densely populated area where people walk. So that's my point of it. It's no disrespect to you, Mr. Mayor. It's just that I live there, and I have a right to be emotional about it. I've seen it, and that's just the way it is. So it's no disrespect to you, and if I was disrespectful to you, I apologize for it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks. If I were disrespectful, then I apologize too.
Mr. Mayor? So I
Deputy
believe...
Mayor Regan, then Councilwoman
I was
Francois.
going to call for the vote, but if Councilwoman has a point?
I was going to call for the vote as
Oh,
well.
okay.
And offer one suggestion, that after we introduce the budget and it becomes adopted, that the Public Safety and the Public Works subcommittees can take a look at prioritizing how we move forward with the appropriation of those funds to figure out how we're going to deploy the sidewalks. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
So this is now, the motion, you made a request, I
Right.
seconded, so this is going to be a vote on your
Right.
request to
Right.
reduce the amounts, right?
Right.
Okay.
Thank you. So this is a vote. Ms. McCarthy is going to call the roll on the amendment. So a yes vote means reduce the budget, as I said, and no vote means go back to the original budget once more. So Ms. McCarthy, I don't think there's anything else. Please poll the council.
Councilman Chase?
No.
Councilwoman Francois?
No.
Councilman Kramer?
No.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
No.
Deputy Mayor Regan?
No.
Councilwoman Sherman?
No.
Councilman Vasanella?
No.
Councilman Wright?
No.
Okay. So we go back to the original budget now. Is there further discussion on the original budget?
I don't have any
Councilman Vasanella.
discussion for tonight. I just, we're going to be getting a report. I just want to give council a heads up that basically summarizes our video volunteer program, which has been headed by Victory Chase. And although we're talking about an extremely small amount of money, if the council has interest in pursuing that program or having it exist going forward, which I personally do, and I think some other council members would like to see to stay intact, part of that report will outline some, I want to say problems, but some needs, if people want to continue, some needs that have very, very small price tags attached to it. So I just want to give council a heads up. But my understanding is something like that can be amended, as any other issue some council person might bring, within a certain percentage of the overall budget. So we can make minimal tweaks at the next, or between now and the official adoption, is my understanding. Or not, if it's introduced tonight, before or at the official adoption, we could do that.
Okay. And I'll just, one other comment.
That's all I
Oh, pardon me. Oh, thank you. One other comment from me. I'm not against spending. If we find good ways to redirect it, or in the future towards something I think is extremely useful, like a youth center, that appropriate criteria. I'm all for things like that. Okay. Anything else? If not, we'll go to the. I'm
Sorry,
Councilman
it's
Kramer.
just, I had promised in my subcommittee report that Mr. Vornlocker would update us on, there have been a couple of changes to the budget that, they're not game changers, but I do think council should know them.
I believe at the beginning of the meeting, Ms. Moody handed out new sheets for your budget books, and there was some additions and deletions from the budget that I just want to draw to your attention. Not necessarily that I'm going to tell you which page to take out, but I will tell you what those changes are. These changes were discussed at the last Financial Oversight Committee meeting, just so that we are all on the same page. After the preparation of the original budget, we received an adjusted pension bill from the state of New Jersey, which reduced our pension costs in the neighborhood of about $265,000, a reduction in our pension obligations for 2014. There was also an omission from the appropriations side of the budget of $100,000 that is used in our sanitation bill to offset the cost of our county recycling contract. That's a grant that we receive from the state of New Jersey that we use that $100,000 annually to fund a portion of that part of the budget, and that was inadvertently left out. Also, after the preparation of the budget, we received an assessment from the JIF with it's a 10-year assessment. Our portion of the assessment is about $360,000. This is 1/10 of it, so there's an additional appropriation of $36,000 in the insurance portion of the budget. That assessment is for really monies owed to the JIF going back to 2003. There was some calculations that were made that showed a shortage going back to 2003, and all the towns in the JIF were required to make a portion of their payments this year for the first year.
And how much was that?
It's a total of $360,000 over 10 years that we'll have to pay it. So it's $36,000 extra on our insurance premium. It's an assessment it's in the insurance portion of the budget. And then there's and Councilman Wright, I think you'll appreciate this, there was an additional, now that we have a dollar figure associated with an engineering study on a drainage easement to the rear of the houses on Phillips Road and Park Street that are experiencing some issues with the land erosion into a drainage area that we own. I've conferred with Mr. Raynone about the responsibilities here, and Mr. Raynone says clearly we have a responsibility to investigate this. We have an estimate for $10,000 for engineering study on that area to determine the damage that's been done and what can be done to stop it from happening. Basically, there are people's backyards that are falling into the stream that runs behind their house, and we need to bring a stop to it because it is our land. So that $10,000 has also been added to the budget.
I appreciate that, Mr. Township Manager.
And those are the changes, the significant changes that from what was presented to you by department heads and myself.
Thank you.
Okay. Just one more to corroborate, hopefully I'll do this in one sentence, but Councilman Kramer said he did reach out to me over the weekend, we had a discussion, and he respectfully and intellectually challenged my conclusions. So I do appreciate that, though. If nothing else, we'll go to a vote on the budget itself. A yes is, okay, none of the amendments went through, it's the budget as presented with these adjustments. No is no. If it's yes, we'll likely vote on the final budget first meeting in May?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Although it is not a perfect budget, I will not emulate our representatives in Washington and will compromise and vote yes.
Mayor Levine?
I'm not as big a person as the councilman. I'll vote no.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Regan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried, budget is introduced. Thank you. Next, we come to item number 16, approval of minutes, of which we do not have any today. So number 17 is our warrants. Warrants are the bills that we pay. Warrants in the amount of $8,962,976.59 on April 8th, 2014 are presented to the Township Council for payment. Is there a motion to pay the warrants as read?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on payment of the warrants.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Regan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. Next, we have voting on our ordinances. Ordinances are usually voted on twice. The first time they're voted on is introduced. If that passes, then usually the next month there'll be another vote, at which time there is a public hearing, meaning people can speak on that particular ordinance. And if the ordinance passes that second time, then it goes into law. So we have 2 of the second readings, which are an ordinance hearings, and then 1 ordinance introduction. So the first second reading, it's a public hearing and adoption of ordinance on second reading, is 18A on the agenda, ordinance number 4055-14, an ordinance of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, authorizing the acceptance of a right-of-way deed from Edward Matson and Maureen Matson in connection with Block 283, Lot 7, known as 295 Franklin Boulevard, docket number ZBA 13-00024. This is basically a standard right-of-way deed on Franklin Boulevard. The Township Attorney has approved the affidavit of publication. The public hearing is in order. There's a motion to open the meeting for public hearing on this ordinance.
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Meeting is open for public discussion on this ordinance. Anyone interested in speaking, please raise your hand.
Mr. Mayor, seeing no one coming forward, I move we close the public hearing.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Public hearing is closed on this ordinance. Thank you. Is there a motion for final passage of the ordinance and publication in accordance with law?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, please poll the council on item 18A, ordinance 4055-14, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Regan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Motion is carried. We next have the second and final of our ordinance hearings. It's item 18B on the agenda. Ordinance 4056-14, an ordinance of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, authorizing the acceptance of conservation easement from Earl Carson Sr. to Township of Franklin for premises known as Block 35, Lot 1.01. This on Pleasant Plains Road. It's kind of in between Claremont and Route 27. Again, a fairly standard conservation easement for some houses that are planned to be built there. The Township Attorney has approved the affidavit of publication, and a public hearing is in order. Is there a motion to open the meeting for public hearing on this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Meeting is open for public discussion on this ordinance. Anyone interested in speaking, please raise your hand.
Seeing no one come forward, Mayor, I motion to close the public portion of the hearing.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Public hearing is closed for this ordinance. Thank you. Is there a motion for final passage of the ordinance and publication in accordance with law?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McCarthy, please pull the council on item 18B, ordinance 4056-14, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Regan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Motion is carried. Now we come to a vote on our only ordinance introduction for the evening, item 19A on the agenda, which is ordinance 4057-14. It's an ordinance of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, authorizing the acceptance of a deed of dedication from Earl Carson Sr. to Township of Franklin for premises known as Block 35, Lot 1.01, Pleasant Plains Road. This is a deed of dedication. It's related to the item upon which we just voted. It's the same subject property, just a different dedication. Well, that was a conservation easement. This is a deed of dedication, but same property. The foregoing ordinance is presented to the Township Council for adoption on first reading, posting, publication in accordance with law, and public hearing and final adoption on Tuesday, April 22nd, 2014, at 7 o'clock p.m. here at the Municipal Complex. Is there a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, please poll the council on item 19A, ordinance 4057-14, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Regan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Motion is carried. We next have our consent agenda. The consent agenda are items of a generally routine nature upon which we can vote at one time. We have items 20A through 20R, or was added, I think, since it was original being seen. It's any council person's prerogative to take it up for a separate vote or discussion. But these items 20A through 20R, as listed on the consent agenda portion of the meeting, are presented to the Township Council for adoption. Their motion for the consent agenda or discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Deputy Mayor Regan.
I'd like just, we can vote on it together, but just to address the resolution 14-191, which is authorized commodity, it's getting late, it is a comedy, resale system, the resale of gasoline to the Franklin Somerset First Aid Squad. Some folks may be asking, why that's on there. Just to go back in history, a little earlier this year, actually last year, there was a request for Franklin to buy the ambulance from us, the township, to sell, and we did that. I believe it was in November or December.
Actually, we haven't sold them to them yet.
we
They
haven't?
have agreed to the terms, and I believe Mr. Raynone is going to draw up some sales contract. But
They're done already.
it's done, there you go. So they're done already.
So
Good job.
What I should have said is we approved it.
We did. We approved it back in November.
We approved it back in November. And at that meeting, then there was a request from someone in the ambulance to ask that they continue to receive free fuel. That was put. Well, that was not part of the original discussion done at the ELS. So over the past couple of ELS meetings, there's been discussion on that item, and basically, I wasn't in support of basically giving that gasoline to them for free, for the point that other ambulances and EMT services, we sell it to them and we don't give it to them. So giving it to them for free would set precedents in which that potentially all of them would come and request. So at the ELS meeting, Franklin Somerset requested support from the ELS subcommittee, and if they received it, I would have brought it to council, but they naturally did not really receive agreement from their peers. So I did want to take some time just to update council about that discussion was had, given that the fact that request was made to council, it was addressed, and with the agreement of the ELS subcommittee, the decision was that they would be treated like any other ambulance services here in town.
Yep. Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Councilman Kramer, he used to be over there, okay?
I move around.
Keeps moving.
So, 3 items I just want to bring out, not pulling them from the agenda. Item L, the Franklin Food Bank Tour to Franklin, April 27th. Please attend, please contribute. I think they raised $60,000 last year for the food bank, and it's a great day. Please participate. Then the item M, we're doing a special event permit for Second Chance for Animals. This is at Colonial Park on May 6th, the Dog Walk and Family Fun Day. They've had this for several years now. It's a great time to bring out your dog, have fun, socialize with other dogs, buy a few treats for them, and of course, donate to Second Chance for Animals. We would be in very tough shape. Your taxes would go up because they support the animal shelter to a very, very, very large extent. And then finally, item Q, a special permit, Franklin Township Interfaith Council, I'm sorry, wrong item. Item R, The Point Community Church is having an Easter egg hunt Sunday, April 20th of all days, Easter Sunday, alongside the Villagers Theater. This I did with Mr. Troutman, Rob Troutman, and I helped coordinate him with the town and with the town manager. He is a Republican committee member, as I understand it, but he is a friend as well, and we get along quite well when he's not making fun of me. And, no, he's a great guy, and he is a community leader and has organized this. And please, it's open to the public. Easter egg hunt near the Villagers Theater. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, good. And, yes, Councilman Prasad.
I'd just like to point out item number Q, which is the issuance of the special event permit, but I would like to urge everybody to show up for the National Day of Prayer event. Most religious denominations will be represented there, and I can tell you that the power of prayer is very strong, and would urge everybody to come and join us in the Veterans Memorial Park between 12 noon and 1 o'clock on May 1st. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, and just because people are pointing things out, yay, St. Matthias Carnival, good one in town. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was going to say something, but I see a lot of people getting impatient. What's that?
Maybe the two parishioners of St.
Yeah, go ahead, Councilman Bass.
Well, I don't want to belabor it, but look, just for what it's worth, St. Matthias does a lot of help to, what's that? Yeah, but just so people know, they do a lot of stuff for the food bank, I think Great Expectations, so you're not necessarily, they have a big carnival coming up, but you're not just supporting that community, you're supporting a lot of nonprofits in our town that benefit by that work, but yeah.
Okay, anything else?
I didn't mean to take a...
Okay, so,
We need a motion.
oh, very good. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on the consent agenda.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yep.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Regan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sherman?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. Next, we have item 21, resolutions voted on separately, of which we do not have any. So next we go to item number 22, old business, 2014 board and commission vacancies. Any nominations for vacant positions? Hearing none. We go to item 23, which is our executive session, of which we do not have one tonight, which leads us to 24.
So moved.
Adjournment.
Wait a minute, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Oh, wait, you've been
Ted.
preempted.
Ted,
Councilman Prasad?
Ted,
Dr.
Ted.
Chase?
Dr. Chase? Councilman Chase?
What?
Councilman Prasad?
do you have any appointments to the planning board?
Not yet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and now we come to,
So moved.
I did it already.
that's a motion for adjournment. And
Second.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, we are adjourned.